It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It is Monday, April the 15th. Whoo, baby. April the 15th. Well, it just jumps off the calendar for some reason. Something about that. It's like maybe the first time I kissed a girl. No, the first time I voted. No, the first time I drank. Oh, no, tax day. That's right. Hey, right on.
Taxes.
Good thing I file in the fall.
Oh, God, I can't even remember the last time I filed taxes.
Really?
90s?
Really?
No.
I was going to say, well, you might not want to say that out loud again, brother.
No, taxes, maxes. I mean, you're right. It is. It's a thing. I try to keep prepared through the year. I always want to get a little money back, a couple of bucks back, and it's kind of nice. Yeah, but I'm never grateful for it. I'm always like, but look at all they took.
Well, sure.
Well spent, I'm sure. But yeah, no, taxes.
It happens. I got, just through no reason or fault of my own, I started a system, for years. With my former gig, we used to pay our taxes in October, and I've continued to do that. I file in the fall just because it's too much of a pain in the ass to file in October and then immediately again the next April. So, and every year I go, this is the year I'm going to do it. I'm going to get back on schedule and just do it in the spring. and I swear, October 15th last year, I was like, that's it, man. I'm getting this stuff together. Yeah. And then literally a week ago, I looked up and I was like, no, I'm not. Who am I kidding?
Yeah, right.
I can't do this twice in 6 months. But we're back. We had a nice week off. I assume we had a nice week off. I had a nice week off. Zep, did you do anything new, cool, interesting?
No, nothing new. I think fairly cool. I just spent a lot of it in the Rockies, all of it in the Rockies, 4 different states.
Very nice.
I'll tell you what, one of these days, in fact, I'm going to make a pledge right now, and maybe it's just because I got home at 8 p.m. last night, smoked this vacation to the butt. 2 pledges. One, I'm going to start ending my vacations on Saturday. Wouldn't it have been nice just to lay around yesterday, watch the Masters, take like 4 naps? But I didn't do that.
Yep.
In fact, I'm just going to be napping at commercial breaks today. No, I just, you need a day back, that buffer day back. But the other thing is, I'm going to start taking vacations where you just lay around on a beach and drink. This physical stuff, I'm not going to complain about spending it in the Rockies, but by about Wednesday, I was like, what? What are we doing? We're going to climb what? We're going to walk up where? How deep is the... And it turns out that, there's a lot of weather up there at about 14,000 feet. So, but no, I had a blast. I'm not complaining at all. I really am not. But man, I am. How's the old Jack Johnson song go? Drunken hearts and tired bones. I got it this morning.
I'm no meteorologist, but 14,000 feet to me sounds like weather. Issues.
Yeah, a lot of weather.
And by the way, not to throw this in your face, did return Saturday, did sit on a beach and drink. And you know what? It was awesome.
It is awesome.
2 for 2 on the things you learned to do better next time. I learned that, back in the old days, I would go on the road for a year straight, and the tour would end, and all you wanted to do was get home. And then one day it dawned on me, you know what? I need to not go home for 2 days. I need to sit in a hotel and just decompress.
Yeah.
And not go to the beach because you're not ready for vacation, but you're not ready to go home and wake up and have normalcy. It's like a weird thing. And that day, getting back on Saturday and then having a day yesterday to just stare at the Masters, to just drink water. Like there was no tomorrow. Like, oh boy, have I missed this water.
Water and naps and
and I thought about that. I thought about that very thing because I'm looking at Candace Wheeler's Instagram and I'm like, I don't think she's back yet. In fact, she's like still. When did you get back to town, Candace?
I got home at like 10 last night.
Oh, girl.
Well,
the
cheap,
folly
cheap
of youth.
flights, come back late. I mean, that's just the reality of it. I wasn't going to spend $200 to come back at noon and have a whole. I would have been nice, but
But let's. I don't mean to bury the lead. I know you had a great week. You did all kinds of things, but most importantly, a week ago today, you were like so many millions of your fellow Americans staring at the sun in the middle of the day.
Oh, it was so weird, dude. It was crazy. Yeah.
Isn't it kind of crazy? The totality, the eclipse. It's more impactful than you might imagine.
It was crazy. Yeah. So I went to Arkansas. So I was on the path of totality.
Right.
And, it was crazy. Yeah, you watch
like
it happen.
It should be more, right? It should be like some sort of conscious awareness or something. But yeah, you saw so what happened was the moon came between you and the sun.
Yeah, it was. You watch it happen, and then when it does happen, it happens for 4 minutes, and everything goes dark, and you hear all the animals tripping, and it was so weird. Like it was just very strange. And then afterwards, it felt like the life was just sucked out of me, and I don't know. It was weird. It was really, really cool and special to see, but it was intense. I didn't cry. I just kind of got deflated, and also we were like drinking beer, all excited, pumped up for it to happen. And then when it did happen, it was like.
Well, there's the eclipse and totality, and then there's the drunken eclipse and drunken totality.
Also, like I'm from the North Country, like that weather down there. I had a little bit of heat exhaustion as well, so I didn't really do much after that. But it was worth it, and I felt fine the next day.
It's pretty thick in Northwest Arkansas. That's a silent H humidity.
Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah, even in April, it can bite you.
I was actually out, and I was, way up. I was over 10,000 feet already on Monday when it happened, but I was way out west, and apparently there was only about 40% eclipse, and I thought, okay, well, I've got these dark polarized glasses on. I'll just take a peek and catch, about 40%, 41%. Of the totality. I guess that's not even close to totality, but I'll get about half of this bad boy. But it turns out that if any part of the sun is showing, you can't see the moon. It's really, really bright, even with really, really dark glasses.
I had a pretty special experience. I was here in Minneapolis on an incredibly cloudy day going, that just happened? Because nothing changed where I was. These things, I was getting ready to leave town. I was heading to the beach, but not there yet. And then, boom, what are you going to do? And by the way, I know we got to hop here in a sec. I've got some complaints to lodge about my trip to the beach. Make no mistake, it was hardly idyllic, at least from top to bottom. And I need to bitch. I need to get some stuff off my chest. There it is.
Nothing like some good vacation bitching.
Yeah.
That's coming up here at about 6:17. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Monday, April the 15th. Tomorrow on the show, Jason Bonham is going to call in.
Ooh. Wow.
Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin experience is in town next week. Good dude, great drummer. Dad, kind of famous out there in the day. John Bonham, drummer for Led Zeppelin. Jason Bonham will be on the show tomorrow in the morning at, I believe, at about 8 a.m. Always good to catch up with JB the second, as I don't know, I've never called him before. Maybe someone has, but that's exciting. And his band's great, and they kill Led Zeppelin music, and they're going to be in town next Tuesday night.
Awesome.
Oh, you mean kill in a good way?
Oh yeah, no, they crush it.
I thought you meant it just sucked.
No,
it's like awkward to listen to.
No, not at all.
All right,
he's got an in with that vibe. Literally born to it. So
I saw him with Sammy Hagar. That was a blast.
Sammy, but you know what? That's like the nicest group of guys in the world. Michael Anthony, Sammy Hagar, Jason, they're just all sweethearts, all of them. Go figure. It's possible to rock and be kind of a cool guy. So I mentioned I had a beef about my vacation week. Yeah. We've all had those. Real quick, there's going to be a lot of people who come to the Twin Cities over the next couple of years who will be beefing because the Stone Arch Bridge, as of 5 a.m., is closed, at least half of it. The St. Anthony Main side closed for the rest of the year for repairs. Where am I going to get
shot at this summer?
Oh, come on.
I know. You can get shot anywhere in Minneapolis.
That's my neighborhood. What are you kidding me? I'm on that bridge every damn day, except now I'm not. Yesterday, that bridge was packed as people were getting their last full crossing. Seriously, all day long. It was like Grand Central. Tubby, longtime listener of the show, great dude. That's where I always bump into Tubby on our neighborhood walk. We're on the same circuit. So
is he like homeless? Does he live there?
No.
Is he near a tent when you see him?
I mean, he's walking, I'm walking. We're having a good time. Nice. He always comes over and says hi to Chauncey. So, but that bridge means a lot to me, and I'll tell you why. Because I first crossed that bridge in 1995, long before I ever occurred to me I might be a Minneapolis resident one day. Just walking around downtown on a day off, I went over to Loring Park and played basketball and got into an altercation where I left the court in disgrace, literally backed down off of a fight over who had next. And I was like, oh my God, I'm turning 30 and I just got intimidated for the first time in my life on a basketball court. I'm a loser. And I walked back to my hotel like, this is so sad. I'm just going to keep walking. walking, and I found
Charlie
myself.
Brown.
Yeah, it was. I found myself at the Stone Arch Bridge, and I was like, "Look at this!" And I walked over and back, and I thought that's the coolest damn bridge I've ever seen. And it just connected me to a part of town I'd never seen before, just crossing that river. So as a tourist, as a guy passing through, it really stuck out to me. And then when Rosemary and I moved up here, and we live right near there, I was like, this is awesome. So it's a connecting thing with me in the area. So, I'm going to miss being able to cross that bad boy every day, but the repairs are necessary, and that's a good thing. So I'm not going to complain about that too much. What I am going to complain about is the trip we just took to the Panhandle of Florida. Spring break.
Wow.
And for people who from Nashville, Tennessee, which is where we lived for 20 years, the closest beach is due south about 6 hours, and you hit this stretch called 30A. It's in Florida, and there's a bunch of little seaside villages that are quaint and pretty. There's Seaside, which is where Truman Show, that movie with Jim Carrey, was filmed. That looks like a movie set. That's a real place. All the little cookie cutter homes, and it's so cute, and it's just so adorable, and it looks like a movie set. But there's a bunch of little towns there, and we have been to a place called Rosemary Beach many times. Just coincidentally. We didn't look at it and go, honey, it's Rosemary, so we're going. But the first time we went, and when the kids were little, it was a very special place for us. And so this time around, had a few days, and my wife and I said, let's go down there. Sans kids, they're in college, and we went, and we did have a lovely time, except the first couple days we were there, it wasn't just overcast, and it wasn't just raining. It was like there were tornado warnings.
Oh, yeah. I was reading about
the
that
whole
in the
time.
Southeast. Yeah, there was a lot of weather.
And being a guy on vacation, I'm not turning on the TV. I'm not looking at local forecast. At some point on, I guess, Wednesday, I was like, okay, I'm literally already getting cabin fever. I'm stuck in this house. Let's just get out. Let's go find some lunch. And we take our rental car, and we are driving down the road. And I kid you not, the heaviest thunderstorm I've ever driven in my life. And I'm like, wait, what's going on? And we pull off. We're like, well, we're not getting lunch. And then we look around. Rosemary goes, there's not very many people out. We're like on a major road between
sirens going off.
We're on our way. We're like at the edge of Panama City, which is a very busy beach town, and there's no one out. And we pull into a Starbucks because it's open. I'm just like, well, screw it. We're not going to get lunch. And I walk in to grab a cup of coffee to go because there's no drive-through.
Tables.
No, I kid you not. The girl's like, she goes, is everything okay? I went, what? And I go, what am I missing? She goes, there's a tornado warning. It's like really bad out there. She goes, we had one a few months ago. It took down a whole marina. I'm like, wait, what? And I just
get to work on my latte.
And I'm like, oh, that's me. Oh, I'm the guy with his head up his ass. Oh.
You're on vacation. You can be distracted or a little out of the loop if you want. But yeah,
and the 5-mile drive back to the house, I kid you not. We took a video and Rosemary sent it to the kids. She's like, we miss you guys. It looks like an apocalyptic hellscape that we were driving through.
Storm chasers, man. That's very
ridiculous. And I was like, no one told me when we booked this trip months ago it might not be sunny and perfect every day.
You're going to Florida, right? Isn't it very inconvenient when the weather's not perfect?
And then when it did turn really, really nice, it was still high of like 72, which is fine, but not really on the beach. You want it a little warmer because you don't want that water to feel like it's ice cold. Landed in Minneapolis back on Saturday, 10, 12 degrees warmer here than it had been at any time the whole time we were on the beach.
Yeah, that's the rub, isn't it? You go down to Florida, you're going to catch some beach weather, some of that classic sunshine they're so well known for, and it's nicer back home. I've had those vacations. There's actually a travel agency that's released a list of complaints from dissatisfied customers. These are really petty and weird. Like, for example, we went on a holiday to Spain, had a problem with the taxi drivers as they were all Spanish. So these kind of just weird little vacation complaints. Yours is much more legitimate because you actually went into a huge storm, and there weren't any tornadoes though, right?
Not that I'm aware of. But then again, I clearly, I would have been blind to that too. I'm sure it felt like it. I mean, I know a bad storm when I see one coming, and we were, like I said, we left that Starbucks after having a conversation about what to do in case of a tornado with two clerks who were like terrified.
What are you doing here?
And you ever done that thing? You ever been in a car and you're riding into a worse storm, and then it suddenly gets way darker really quickly? That happened, and we were like, what on earth have we gotten ourselves into? All was well. It all turned out okay. But I'm just saying, it was not...
Not relaxing.
I don't feel like the guy bitching about Spanish taxi drivers living in Spain, but I do feel kind of silly having to admit, yes, I was complaining about the weather. Go figure.
Well, I mean, it's a vacation, you know. We'll get into some of these vacation complaints, and I know I'm not the only one. That there is a nice, when you get back home, your own couch, your own bed, your own recliner, just your own stuff around.
Oh, yeah.
I like getting back to my own stuff, and one of those things that I love to get back home to is did I say love? Mike Evans' Hollywood Report. Returning to normalcy. We'll have him all ready to go here shortly. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
The KQ Morning Show is back. I'm Steve Gorman. It's Monday, April the 15th. Happy Tax Day. Anybody scrambling to get those taxes in order, you are not alone. I did see something earlier today that said, for the most part, we spend a little bit more time sweating over our taxes than actually doing our taxes. That makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. The average person says they spend more time avoiding it. 8 hours a year in full stress mode. Yeah. Most people, you can get it done in less than 8 hours, especially if you are hiring someone to help. Just bite the bullet, get into it. Those are the kind of things. Every year we have these conversations. Nothing helps.
No, it doesn't. And I'm the great procrastinator, and I with everything in my life. But they used to be kind of fun back in the day. Listen to me. Back late 80s, 90s, I remember I would wait until I'd be like April 15th at 7 p.m. And my wife at the time would say, did you do the taxes? Oh, and this wasn't online, you know. You had to scramble around, run down to the library, get something, fill out the short form. It was a short form back in the day. Get all that done. And then you'd go down to the big post office on Washington Street over here. And I remember there were bands playing on flatbeds. There was a guy running around. I assume it was a guy in an Excedrin bottle, big costume. And it was this long line of hundreds, maybe thousands of people with their manila envelopes in their hands, waiting to get in and drop it in there before midnight. It seems so surreal to me now that we've gone digital, but it was kind of a good time.
That's just making lemonade out of lemons, man. Mm-hmm. That's the good old-fashioned American ingenuity. We got to pay these crap by Monday. All right, well, let's go have some bands. Let's blow it out and have a couple of. Let's get some suds flowing and do what we can. Make the most of it. Hey, you know what? Right now, though, it's time for the Mike Evans Hollywood Report.
Hey, good morning, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Good morning, Steve and Candace, Zep Man, Tony. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Got lots to talk about today. Starting off, the bad news is today is tax day. Yeah, tax day. You know all about it. And is it true Prince Harry and Meghan Markle may have serious tax problems here in the United States? That's what I'm hearing. That's the scoop. Stay tuned. That's the bad news. Now the good news. Tomorrow is Tuesday. Yeah, it's the 16th, but it's also the day where Marcus Theater, any movie you want to see, only $6. I mean, the whole week is great as long as you can make it to Marcus Theaters on Tuesday, $6, any movies, and some great movies to go see. I'll give you a box office wrap in just a minute. I don't know what you think of this story, Steve, but I can't get it out of my mind. I mean, how does Los Angeles Dodgers Shohei Ohtani's interpreter, who makes $250,000 a year, make multi-million-dollar bets? And when he wins, especially the ones he makes bets in Las Vegas, I mean, the IRS steps in to collect their money, their take, before the gamblers ever paid off. Don't red flags come up that something doesn't make sense? Isn't there a paper trail? And how does Ohtani not miss $16 million? I know this story is a couple of weeks old, but I think there's a lot more to it that we'll be hearing about. Oh, happy birthday, 18th birthday over the weekend to Tom Cruise's daughter, Suri. However, it should be pointed out Tom Cruise hasn't seen his daughter for 12 years. Suri, or anybody else that is not a Scientologist, is an undesirable to Tom Cruise. What a great dad, huh? What a great dad. Coachella was the place to be over the weekend. Well, when I lived in Palm Springs, loved me some Coachella. And while Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift reportedly spent Saturday night at the ultra-exclusive Madison Resort in La Quinta, about 5 miles from Coachella, I hear that they had originally tried to rent a Thunderbird Heights estate. That's the same estate, the same house that the Obamas stay when Barack would come to the desert for golf, which was very, very hush-hush and very, very often, and he still goes to Palm Springs a lot to play golf. On one of his trips, the president was coming in to play golf. I was in the parking lot at a Lowe's store, like Home Depot, the Lowe's, and it's right next to the Palm Springs airport. And I did some shopping, got in the car, and I remembered that the president was flying in, heard a jet, rolled down my window, grabbed my phone, and got a great picture of Air Force One landing at the Palm Springs airport. It's one of my favorite pictures. I posted it today on my website, evansradio.com. Check it out. Let me know what you think. It's a great photo. As time goes on, you'll be hearing more and more stories about what a horrible, disgusting, repulsive murderer O.J. Simpson really was. As I've mentioned, I've known O.J. off and on for 40 years, been talking about him 30 years. You won't hear anything about O.J. from me from now on. Moving on. TV news. Saturday Night Live was actually pretty funny this week. Yeah. Movie news. Civil War was the big box office winner. Okay. Some say Civil War was a coming attraction. Ugh. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Mike Evans. See ya.
There you have it. I think Saturday Night Live is as funny as it's ever been, which is to say every episode you can see to about a 95 percentile is okay. It's always just okay. And then occasionally there's real high points, and there's cast members that you will watch, and anything they do is funny, like Will Ferrell or over the year. I mean, my God, so many. Phil Hartman. There's so many people that no matter what they're doing, I find it amusing. But there's always bad skits. There's always skits that go nowhere. There's always moments where you're like, oh, God, they really did just throw this thing together at the last minute. That show's been that way from day one. That's part of the reason it's so mind-bogglingly amazing. It's still on the air after now coming up on 50 years. Every generation goes, SNL used to be great. Now it sucks. No, it's always been exactly what it is.
Yeah, you want to talk? You want some brilliance of Saturday Night Live? A brilliant performer. Probably on his A game, and since he brought up O.J. Simpson, whenever we go on vacation, one big thing happens. So O.J. Cax, Norm Macdonald, who lost his job on SNL doing the Weekend Update because he savagely went after, and rightly went after, O.J. Simpson on the Nightly Update. O.J. still had a friend at NBC, an executive, well placed up the ladder, and they told Norm no more with the O.J. Simpson jokes, and of course he, just laid into it. In fact, I think that's all he did on the next Saturday Night Live episode. So they canned him. There's about 40 minutes of it montaged together for you on YouTube if you want to check that out sometime. That's some brilliant SNL right there. But go back and watch SNL the first season. Just, look it up on YouTube or, fire up the old DVD or something like that and go back and watch it and just sit there and go, huh.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Well, I mean, I'm sure at the time it was funny, but it's always been like that. You're right. One here, one there.
No, there are seasons that are worse than others. No question about it. There are cast members who pan out and they weren't very good. But I've been watching that show since literally the very first episode. My whole family gathered around. I was 10. We were like, what is this new show?
So weird.
It was 2 hours long initially. It featured Jim Henson's Muppets in the first season, would be on doing like adult-themed Muppet bits. It wasn't Kermit the Frog; it was different Muppets. They would have, it was just an entirely. It was falling into place. It took a few years to really hit its stride, but again, it's always been a crapshoot. That's just how the show works. It's what it is. I think there's moments right now. I still record SNL, and we flip through it real fast. And if something doesn't catch our eye right away, we move on. But there's a couple people on that cast right now who are as good as anybody. I mean, they're just it's always worth checking out. There's always great young talent on there.
I wait to see what goes viral, the next day, because then you can just cherry pick. You're like, oh, that was funny. Okay, well, I'll jump on. Oh, the opening monologue was interesting. This, then I go back and I'll cherry pick here and there a little bit. Right.
Yeah, I think that's what most people do. Quickly, it's time for a history lesson. Oh my goodness. April 15th, 1952, Pete and Jerry Cusimano became hockey icons. Who were they? A couple of brothers from Detroit who worked at their family's fish store. And while discussing the upcoming hockey playoffs, they said, we need 8 wins to get to the Stanley Cup. And then one of them said, well, there's 8 legs on an octopus. They snuck an octopus into a Red Wings game. Gordie Howe scored, and they threw an octopus onto the ice.
Yes.
There was a time when it was new, and it was brand new, and it was these guys who did it. The players and the refs, nobody knew what to make of it. I mean, everybody was like, what in the hell is that?
I'm sure a lot of people didn't even know what the hell it was.
Exactly. A player went up and started hitting it with his stick. The crowd went nuts, and a weird tradition was born. It was on this day in 1952. On this day in 1985, I know that Brian Zepp remembers very clearly Marvelous Marvin Hagler and Thomas Hearns.
Oh.
Holy crap.
Take your Ali Frazier. I'll take the middleweights.
Yeah, any boxing fan, any sports fan that was alive in 1985, you just say Hagler Hearns, they immediately get goosebumps. One of the greatest fights ever. Only made it 2 minutes into round 3. Hearns was wobbling. Hagler was given the technical knockout. Neither one of those guys remembers the last bit of that. They were both dead men walking. It was just a matter of time. An incredible fight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. Good Monday morning. It is April 15th. File your taxes, for God's sakes. That was Tesla from Sacramento, California. The band Tesla. In 1988, one of my first times I was ever in New York City, I met those guys. My band was up there playing a gig, and the dude who would go on to sign us and produce our first couple of albums, George Drakoulias, he took us out to see a band at a club. They were called the Psycho Sluts from Hell, the Cycle Sluts from Hell. I can't remember. A really funny, cool band name. A bunch of rock leather wearing biker chicks, and it was the kind of thing you'd only see in New York City. It was like, oh my God, they're called the Cycle Sluts from Hell, and they're a metal band, and they're really cool and scary. And we were in this club, and there was this band Tesla there. And George said, hey, these are the guys from Tesla, and these are guys from Atlanta. And we all said, hey, how's it going? And I had seen Tesla on MTV. That to me meant, oh, they're huge. They must be ginormous rock stars. They're on MTV. And I found myself at the bar where I ordered a Rolling Rock and was told it was $5.
What the?
$5 for a bottle of turpentine called Rolling Rock. And I was like, $5 for
Latrobe,
one
Pennsylvania, baby.
Yeah, this was New York City.
Yeah, right.
This is 1988 New York City. $5 was 2.5 times as much as I'd ever paid for a beer in my life. And I was like, oh my God. And here's the thing. The guys from Tesla were also complaining about the price of beer. And I thought, but you're on MTV. Like somehow that just translated. You must be a millionaire. And they were looking at me like I was nuts. They're like, yeah, do you know how much in debt we are to our record company? What's the matter with you? Anyway.
I was going to say somebody was making money off them. Might not have been them at the time. I remember those guys. They just, if they had toured, like a lot of the other bands, Def Leppard and Poison and whatever, especially the hair bands, the butt rock of the 1980s, I think they would have still endured. I know they still get out and tour from time to time, but they sort of, I don't know, there were some guys in the band that were sort of disenchanted. I remember doing stories on them back in the mid 2000s or whatever, and they were just kind of like, I had enough of it.
Well, it was interesting. They were not, they slid in between Sunset Strip and grunge. They were neither scene. They were dudes that wore jeans and t-shirts and just liked rock and liked harmonies and loud guitar solos. They liked all the right stuff, and they were a really good band, but because of the polar opposite, Sunset Strip 80s, grunge 90s, they didn't fit either camp, and they got overlooked a lot, but a great band at their best. And over years, I I want to say that 4 of the original 5 are in the band now. If that's correct. So anyway, there's a quick Tesla story. Me and Tesla bitching about being in New York City because, why not? I was actually having the time of my life. I was like, oh my God, this place is amazing. If I only had more than $5, I'd be in the best mood. Because sometimes you find yourself somewhere and you still have to admit, well, it's not all it was cracked up to be. Traveling brings out the worst in a lot of us. And a lot of people, this is an honest to God list. We've talked about it a little bit already today. Honest to God complaints. A travel agency listed real complaints from dissatisfied customers. Number 1 on the list, a woman wrote, they should not allow topless sunbathing on the beach. It was very distracting for my husband who just wanted to relax. No, he did not want to relax.
He probably had a kink in his neck the next day, ping-ponging back and forth and constantly craning his neck and then trying not to, look like you're leering. That's a whole nother physical thing as well. That poor man, that poor couple.
I love that.
Maybe find one of the other 99% of the beaches that aren't topless.
Yeah, you can also just put your face in the sand, like literally just lay down on your stomach and tan the back, or just show some discipline and not gawk at all the women around you. I don't know. It's just a thought.
Right.
Now, my first experience ever on a topless, it was in fact not topless, it was a fully nude beach right near Sarasota, Florida, on my high school senior trip. We go down there, a bunch of kids from Kentucky.
Nice.
And let me tell you something. Me and 2 dudes, me, Brooke, and Todd, 3 senior dudes walking, and we had heard if you go around that bend, it's a nude beach. And we were like, no way. We're going to act like we'll just go and see. And if it is real, we'll act like we didn't know. And we walked onto an honest-to-God fully nude beach, and we walked about 300 yards in, 300 yards back, and in our minds, we were all walking like totally cool, chill, no big deal. I guarantee you, we look like the 3 biggest, dorkest, horniest, freaking out, jumping out of our own skin, I'm surprised my back didn't clench up for a month as I was trying so hard to keep calm, the tension in my body, just looking around at naked adult women. We were out of our minds, I'm sure.
Well scouted class trip, by the way.
Oh, man, no kidding. Thank you.
Nice touch.
Thanks to Mrs. Peterson, the English teacher that set that thing up.
Big difference in being in a totally nude beach and a topless beach. I've been at topless beaches, and it's like, hey, look, boobs everywhere. It's free. It's fun. I take my kids to a topless beach, but a fully nude beach,
different
that's
story.
A whole, it's a whole
you're looking around
thing.
and, Big Jim and the twins are everywhere you go. It's like,
everywhere.
Jeez, dude, come on.
Wieners everywhere.
That's it. 651-989-ROCK is the KQ Talking text line. If you got travel complaints, we're happy to hear them. Here's another great one. On my holiday in India, I was disgusted, not disappointed, disgusted to find almost every restaurant served curry. I don't like spicy food.
What?
What?
You pack some PB&Js if you're off to India.
Do you know how much you have to get to India? Like, if I'm not mistaken, there are shots you have to take. There are things you have to do to prepare yourself for an entirely different part of the world. I've been to South America once. We had a bunch of shots we had to take. And when somebody says to you, you have to go get a bunch of shots to go somewhere, I imagine you're going to do a little bit of research just to go, wait, what am I getting myself into? You were surprised that the food in India was spicy? I'm surprised you made it to the airport.
Yeah, right. Yeah, not for them. How about this one? The beach was too sandy. We had to clean everything when we returned to our room.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that damn sand on the beach. Or this one right next to it. We found the sand was not like the sand in the brochure. Your brochure shows the sand is white, but it was more yellow. Oh, must have used a filter on that one, huh?
Good Lord.
Some people just aren't built to vacation. They really should just sit home and watch the Travel Channel or Nat Geo or something like that, because actually going out into it is a whole different experience. It's not, they haven't Americanized the entire planet for us yet.
The only people who can bitch about vacation where I'll give them a pass is the one percenters, where like they live in such an opulent, beautiful home and everything's catered to them. They go to, a Four Seasons resort and they're like, this is lacking. Okay, that I'm like, I'm not saying that I think it's cool, but it makes sense to me. Oh, you're so rich that you can't go anywhere that's better than the place you already live. For anybody else, just getting to a new place, seeing something for the first time, getting out of the routine, that's the whole point. I mean, to me. Now, granted, I'm not saying everybody has to think like me, but I mean, come on, give a little. Why would you expect things to go seamlessly in a place you've never been, in a car that's not yours, at a house that's not yours, or a hotel room that's not yours? It's going to be weird.
It's going to be weird, and something's going to happen unplanned along the way. I almost kind of wait for those things. I like to invite those. What have you got for me? Throw me a couple of curveballs, and let's deal with them. How about this one? No one told us there would be fish in the water. The children were scared.
I'm just going to assume they don't mean in the swimming pool. Yeah.
Probably not in the swimming pool.
Fish in the ocean. That's a weird one. How about this one? It took us 9 hours to fly home from Jamaica to England. It took the Americans we met only 3 hours to get home. That seems unfair.
No, that's geography. I'm sorry you weren't born in America.
Good Lord.
Sorry, your ancestors didn't make the trip across the pond in an old rickety boat back in the day. Yeah, people, we're getting a little too soft for vacations, I think. Of course, I was, I'm not complaining, but just, went up high and spent it at elevation and was just out in the Rockies for this last week. And it's like, God, though, it's really windy up there, the weather and everything else. What are you going to get at the top of a mountain? But I'm not complaining at all. These people, I don't know what they were again, just stay at home and watch it. You've got probably a 65, 72-inch big screen, 4K. It looks brilliant. Just pretend you're looking out your window and onto whatever, vacation scenario that you'd like to take. But don't actually go. I was bitten by a mosquito. The brochure did not mention mosquitoes. Oh, man.
Not a lot of brochures will mention mosquitoes. Now, if there happen to be king cobras, they'll mention that. Mosquitoes? No. How about this? The brochure said there was a fully equipped kitchen. There was no egg slicer in the drawers. I don't even know what an egg slicer is.
That's made up. Is there such a thing?
Be. What, I don't know. How do they get by? How do they make their eggs?
I'm assuming.
Who slices eggs?
It's got to be just something for a hard-boiled egg, I'm imagining, right? There's no way to slice an egg otherwise, is there? What am I missing?
We had to repurpose the cheese slicer, but that's all right. Didn't totally ruin the vacation. No egg slicer? What the hell are you slicing eggs on a vacation for, you dimwits? Oh, this might be my favorite one. My fiance and I requested twin beds when we booked, but instead we were placed in a room with a king bed. We now hold you responsible and want to be reimbursed for the fact that I became pregnant. This would not have happened if you had put us in the room that we booked. Twin beds.
I'm just, as a public service announcement, sweetheart, people have sex in twin beds too. Just sorry to break that to you.
Right.
It's possible. Yeah. These are legit real. This is incredible to me, what people will say.
Stay at home. Stay at home. Quit vacationing. I don't know what you're looking for out there. They're just looking to, like I said, just watch it on TV. They want all the conveniences of home. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, are you gonna bitch to the guy that sold you the car if you get knocked up in the backseat of a car? I mean, what are you talking about?
That seat was way too roomy and comfortable. I shouldn't have been able to impregnate you in a car. Yeah, I don't know. People are vacations. They're weird. If you've got a weird vacation story, a petty complaint, whatever you've got this morning, a little bit of vacation on the mind, 651-989-ROCK. But we are going to move along. We've got some other things to talk about this morning. Just pay tax donuts and Krispy Kreme. We still have some Krispy Kremes around Minnesota, don't we?
Anyway, so.
I don't know. Yeah, I was thinking there was one holdout just hanging on out there. So, we have some other tax day deals that apply to good old Minnesota. That's coming. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line, 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Monday, April the 15th. Led Zeppelin's Black Dog right there from Led Zeppelin 4. Led Zeppelin's drummer John Bonham's son, Jason Bonham, is at the Uptown Theater a week from tomorrow. He's on this show tomorrow. About 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, we'll be joined by Jason Bonham talking about all things rock music, Led Zeppelin, his Led Zeppelin evening coming in to Minneapolis next week. It's always a great show, more than worth your time. It is tax day, so in addition to forking over some hard-earned cash to the IRS or waiting for that refund, there are some deals out there. I mean, it's worth mentioning. There are some deals. Hooters, our dear friends at Hooters.
Yeah.
Are they still out at the Mall of America?
Oh, yeah. Their wings are the best.
Been a while since I've been out there. All right.
Buy 10 wings, get 10 for free.
Their wings are seriously bomb. They're great.
I can't remember the last time here's the thing. I think I've been in a Hooters twice, and the last time was probably in the 90s. If you're telling me the wings are actually really good, that's intriguing to me.
Yeah. I go to the one at the mall every time I go to the mall.
Really?
Yeah,
why not?
Yeah, the wings are pretty killer. Yeah, I know people there. I've got a buddy whose mom, he has to take his mom to Hooters for her birthday. That's where she wants to go for her meal.
Right on.
Nice.
Why not? Yeah. If if the wings are that tasty, then I'll have to endure the rest of the experience, I guess.
Is there a lot to endure there? Too much orange for you?
Well, after living in Tennessee, I just got so sick of that go big orange mentality.
Right. Well, and the whole Hooters thing. Now these days, they have tights on and everything. I don't know. You can go to just about any bar, and I don't know. There's sex and everything up these days. Dave & Buster's has a big deal, 50% off all food today. 50% off, that's quite a deal.
That is a big deal.
Today and April 28th, if you join their rewards program, listen to me, going into commercial mode.
Man, go for it. So, I guess it's not White Castle, 15% off for April 15th.
Oh.
Hey, man. Yeah. All right. Crystal has a buy one, get one free. See, as a Southerner for many years, I prefer the Crystal to the White Castle.
I don't know what that is.
It's the Southern version. It's a similar thing. A little slider. Crystal with a K. You've never been to a Crystal?
No.
Wow.
I've never even heard of them. I thought that was what Candace put in her bra for lunch.
You guys haven't even heard of Crystal. Wow. Chattanooga based. It's like Waffle House. They're all over the South. Yeah, man.
I guess I haven't been all over the South. I've been to a few spots, but yeah. Well, next time I'm down there, I'm going to make it a priority.
Fair enough. Cleveland, Ohio, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The fan vote is winding down. You've just got till April 26th. Looks like Dave Matthews Band is going to hang on to win this year's fan vote. Now, this is a small percentage of the final tally, but it does matter. You want to at least be able to say, hey, we won the fan vote. Dave Matthews with 573,000 votes ahead of, in second place, Foreigner. Third place, Peter Frampton. Fourth place, Ozzy Osbourne. What the hell's wrong with the world? How's Ozzy not leading the fan vote for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
How does Cher have more votes than Kool and the Gang?
It's just the collective dissonance in the world, I guess. I'm not really sure.
Jane's Addiction kind of down there out of the top 10 as well. I thought they would have done a little bit better, but...
When my former band, the Black Crowes, were playing with Jimmy Page, we were in rehearsals with Page before the first bunch of dates in the fall of 1999. And he walked into rehearsal one day, and we're like, hey, Jim. He's like, hello, how's everyone? Good. You just chit-chat before we plug in. And he goes, do you know what I just heard in the car? Celebrate the Kool and the Gang song. And we're like, yeah. And he goes, that's such a great song, isn't it? And we were like, is this a joke? Is this shtick? And he was like, yeah. And he plugged in his guitar and started playing.
Yes.
And as soon as he played it, I was like, oh, that sounds like a riff from Physical Graffiti. Like you could hear like a Zeppelin's just,
yeah,
like a get bottom on the backbeat of that sucker. And I was like, yeah, Jim, go. And for a brief moment, I thought, oh my God, the coolest thing in the world would be if we worked up a Kool and the Gang Celebrate. It didn't happen. For a quick minute, I thought we were on our way, but no.
Jungle Boogie would have been a good one. Get down on it.
Hell yeah.
Ladies' Night. Hello.
Man, Kool and the Gang was my second concert.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I never. And they came through. They did the casino thing for a while. I don't know if they're still out there doing anything, but or some version of Kool and the Gang these days. But some years ago, they came through one of our casinos here, and I just didn't get off my ass. I wish I would have.
I saw him. That was the first, when I saw Van Halen, the first concert I saw as a KQ employee about 13 years ago. They opened for Van Halen.
Really?
Yeah,
Kool
it was
and the
amazing.
Gang.
Mm-hmm.
Where the hell was I? Drunk?
I don't know, probably.
I remember when that tour was announced, people were freaking out, going, "Why? How can these bands tour together?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? It's perfect."
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's an audience like me who remember those two bands equally. Like I was there for both at the peak of their powers, and I'd like to go hear a bunch of Van Halen music and a bunch of Kool Gang music on the same night. They played the Western Kentucky State Fair in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, my hometown. I mean, talk about mind-blowing. 1980, the Ladies' Night Tour, and Kool and the Gang rolls into town. It was like, oh, yeah. Oh, hell yeah. We were really ripping. And, of course, I then grew up and got into the music business myself and spent many a minute thinking to myself, boy, how hard did they try to get out of that gig after it was booked and their album blew up bigger than they ever expected.
Right. That's
one of those, like, a state fair, good payday, yeah, take it. And then Ladies' Night comes out and it's huge. And they're like, wait, we still got to go to that tiny little state fair? That not even a real state fair, but a Western state fair? What the hell? Yeah, these things happen. The NBA playoffs are kicking off soon. The Minnesota Timberwolves right now with a 3 seed. Yesterday was a pretty fascinating day because it determined the play. You had the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Denver Nuggets, and the OKC Thunder all vying for the number 1 seed. And after the snow globes settled down, the Thunder, the youngest team in the league, have the top seed in the West. Denver second, and the Timberwolves are the number 3 seed. And just going to go ahead and throw this out there again for the first of 9 million times. If you're not paying attention to the Timberwolves, if you can say you don't really care about the NBA, but trust me when I say Anthony Edwards is worth paying attention to. He's 22 years old, and for the next 5 or 6 or 10 years, he's going to run roughshod over the league. He is a once-in-a-generation kind of talent, and if he is as focused and dedicated as our great athletes of all time are, he's going to be one of the greatest players in league history. He's that good. He's got that much potential. More than worth tuning in to the playoffs because just like with hockey, the NBA playoffs, when you put two teams against each other night in and night out for up to as many 7 games in a row, man, those games get intense. I mean, it really does. It's just like in the NHL, it's a second season. The Wild are not quite finished with the regular season, but they're still on the outside. Well, I mean, they have a couple games to play, I'm saying.
I mean, that's going to be, it's just how many Wild players, what's the sale going to look like after the season for the Wild? But, NBA, yeah, right. There's just so much sports out there and so little time on the couch to catch it all. But, yeah, when it goes to playoffs, now I'm interested. Now I'm watching. Mm-hmm. I don't mind the bandwagon. I hate it when people go, oh, you're just a bandwagon fan. Yeah. That's right, because I have a life. I don't sit around and watch 25 hours of sports a day.
Right.
But now and I've been kind of paying attention, and because they've been having a hell of a season, and for the reasons you just talked about. But yeah, now playoffs. Let's see if we can't get a run here. Minnesota would not hate a basketball championship. It's not the Vikings.
No.
Right? Not even the Twins. No. But hell, Timberwolves. Let's put a trophy in the case. Why not? Now you were talking that perhaps. The Timberwolves aren't quite ready yet. They're not there yet. But it'd be fun to watch a good playoff run here.
They're gonna. Well, they got to play Phoenix now in the first round.
Didn't they just get clobbered by Phoenix?
Yeah. Phoenix just took them out to the woodshed yesterday and just beat the living snot out of them. Phoenix has been one of those teams all year long, underachieving like crazy, but they had the hardest final month of the season in the league by far and went 7-3 in their final 10. It's like they finally. Oh, we just flipped a switch, and now Phoenix is actually kind of scary because Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, 2 guys who can both pop for 40 on any given night. So it will be an interesting series. I'm really hoping we get the Timberwolves and the Nuggets in a 7-game series. That's the one I really, truly want to see.
I have some buddies that love the NBA and the Timberwolves, but they don't really, they're not as into the regular season. One of them, I was just talking about it. We were texting a few days ago about the Timberwolves, and he said, with the NBA, kind of like the NHL now, so many teams make it in from each conference. What is it, 8 now or something like that? I mean, you had a couple of 8 seeds. Didn't an 8 seed win it or something like that last year. So a lot of these teams, especially with aging superstars, might not put in 100% effort into the regular season. They just got to stay in that top 8. But when it gets to the playoff mode, that sounds like some pretty exciting basketball anyway.
Always is. Always is. Last night in a game that didn't really have a whole lot to do with the final shakeout, the Houston Rockets played the Los Angeles Clippers. And the Rockets have a guy on their team, Boban Marjanovic. He is Boban or Bobby. He's known as 7'4". He's like the classic NBA fan favorite. 7'4", not really great. Doesn't move too well. Comes in, just the kind of guy fans immediately go, I love that big guy. Look at him. Yeah. My man last night had one of the great moments of the season. Late in the game, he goes to the free throw line. And here's the deal. There's a giveaway at the game that says if a player for the opposing team misses 2 straight free throws in the fourth quarter, all ticket holders get a free Chick-fil-A sandwich.
Oh. Hello.
He's aware of this. The game is out of reach. There's no question. It's no longer a competitive game. And Boban steps up to the free throw line. He misses the first of 2 and then catches wind from what the crowd is saying. Listen to the play-by-play here as Boban becomes truly a man of the people.
Fans are getting excited here. There might potentially be some free chicken on the board if he misses his second free throw.
Oh, man, free chicken on the board.
Yeah, so that's why the fans are getting a little frothy.
Oh, they're pointing to Boban's playing with the crowd, saying, you want chicken?
Here's your job.
Oh, he gave him chicken. He's a man of the people. He's a man of the people.
Respect.
He did. He gave out free chicken.
He yelled out, chicken on me,
That's
and then
amazing.
intentionally missed the free throw.
I love it.
That is fantastic. And, of course, the people are losing their mind. At the end of the day, nothing's better than a free – everything tastes better when it's free. Doesn't matter. You know what I mean? There are people sitting courtside who paid $1,000 for their ticket, and they're going, come on! They're losing their mind at the prospect of a free Chick-fil-A sandwich. It's great.
Oh, man.
Here's your job.
Oh, he gave him chicken. He's a man of the people.
He gave him
He's
chicken.
a man of the people.
He did that on purpose?
He did. He gave out free chicken.
He's a man of the people. That's fun right there. I would have been more nervous trying to miss one if I'm an NBA player. 7'4". I mean, he can almost touch the rim from the freaking free throw line. And, you can't just throw it at the floor. You've got to toss something up there and make it seem, I don't know, somewhat believable.
Sure.
Even though everyone knows what's happening. And he throws a brick up, that just rims off. But I would have freaked out. I would have been nervous that I would have actually made it. And everybody would have booed me out of there. No, I was trying to give you free chicken. I sucked so bad I made the basket. I was trying to miss.
I think the most excited I've ever seen an NBA game, this is going back 35 years, but a kid hit a shot from half court for like $5,000, late 80s at an NBA game. And I kid you not, the roof almost blew off the place. Like far more excited than a playoff victory, watching some guy go out there, he hit a layup, hit a free throw, hit a three-pointer, and then that half court shot. Man, there's nothing better than when you're there for the game, but then the game within the game happens. The missed free throw for the chicken sandwich, the midcourt, the half court shot at halftime. These are the moments we remember more than. I mean, I literally don't remember the final score of the game, but I remember what that kid was wearing who hit that shot from half court.
I know it. Or one of those big. If they do one of those big promotions. I think he was actually a North Dakota kid. About a year ago in January, came out and won $10K. Maybe he was a Minnesota kid that was going to school in North Dakota. I know I'm kind of blowing the details on it. But he comes out, he nails the half quarter at halftime for $10,000. I mean, my God, he's still milking that one out there. So he will be for the rest of his life.
Of course. That's fantastic. Here's something that just for all of us who love to look around and go, kids today. Nah. This is the ultimate example. Gen Z, Candace, remind me. Gen Z is
my brother.
That's like the
22.
kids. Yeah, the kids who are born. They're not millennials. They're the people who were born around the millennium. So early 20s. Apparently, Scrabble to Gen Zers is a little too tough. A little too intimidating. And people get
Finally,
too competitive.
I can relate to a younger generation.
And they don't dig it. The makers of Scrabble have been doing extensive research because the game is starting to dry up, and they realize younger people think Scrabble is, these are their words, too intense.
Whatever. It's boring.
It's hard. Well, I always thought it was like school. First of all, my mom, we all had our games we ruled at. I was actually very good at Monopoly. I did very well at I cheated like a son of a bitch, but I was the trick was to be the banker.
So you're just like every other banking / real estate tycoon that's ever lived.
Exactly.
Right.
I don't know why I got into radio. I was off to such a good start there. But for Mom, it was Scrabble, and she would school us all. And she loved it. She'd get that smug look on her face as we decide, out of the 5 board games we have, we're going to have to Scrabble up here. Dad had Uno, right? With Scrabble. And then she would just, take us to town. And we'd be sitting there with a dictionary. That's not a word. Well, that is a word. I'll be damned.
Yeah.
I mean, I can relate, but come on, really? Scrabble's going to dumb it down?
This is the new participation trophy story, if you will, like when everyone freaks out. Check this out. So because younger people find Scrabble to be too intense, there's a new version of the game, which is by design supposed to be more, quote, collaborative and accessible. It's called Scrabble Together. And Scrabble Together involves teams. You pair up to complete mutual goals. Like, I'm not making this up, play a word containing 2 of the same consonants. Play a word containing at least 2 different vowels. Or complete a vertical word. You and a partner are going to go through the jungle of Scrabble together. And then they have helper cards now with little tips.
Oh.
This is not bringing people together. This is making me want to go on a Michael Douglas rampage. What was that movie? Falling Down.
Something. Or...
Yeah, Falling Down.
Oh, Falling Down, yeah.
This is completely insane. It's Scrabble. It's not changed in 9,000 years.
Yeah.
It's by design. Yeah, it's a little tough. It's a little boring, and that's what it's good for. It's like grape nuts. Don't mess with grape nuts. Just eat them once a year.
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, but there is, exactly, because there's a bar there, right? For Scrabble, I was just talking about, for smart people, they have Scrabble.
Yeah.
That's the smart game, and then for the rest of us, there was Chutes and Ladders or whatever the hell we were playing, that made us feel better about ourselves. But you've lowered the bar is what you've done. Mm-hmm. Keep that bar right there. Make them play something else. They don't have to play Scrabble, but I understand the people that sell Scrabble are worried about losing their gig or losing Scrabble, I guess. But yeah, you've compromised now. It's better that Scrabble goes away. Just rides off into the sunset. It becomes like, and then you buy it on eBay 20 years from now going, Scrabble, look, there's one for sale on eBay. You guys, where do you get this game? It's crazy.
Actually, it reminds me. I'm going to go get one today, an OG straight up Scrabble, never open it, leave it sealed, and bequeath it to my grandchildren. They'll sell it they'll make a fortune in 100 years on that thing. You know what I saw the other day on our trip to Florida? I mentioned we got out in the middle of a just blinding thunderstorm, tornado warning. Only 2 people in Florida didn't know. Me and Rosemary driving around looking for something to eat. But not at that particular trip, but at another time, walked into a coffee shop and there was a couple people sitting down, and it wasn't like a Starbucks. It was just a one-off. It's like a family-run, cafe place. Yeah. And they had a bunch of board games. And I walked up on a family, and they were all fully immersed in a game of Sorry.
Okay, Sorry was great.
Loved Sorry.
Trouble was better. The 90s I had so many fun games. Like, they were so visually fun. You could press things like Don't Wake Daddy was my favorite, and Mousetrap. And then Icebreakers. There was tons of cool games.
Don't Wake Daddy?
Literally, there was like a dad sleeping in a bed that was in the middle of the board.
Wow.
And you had to go around, and then if you hit like the wrong one, you would be like, you'd jump out of bed and be like, you kids, go back to sleep.
No. Oh, wait.
We played the real version of that, by the way, Don't Wake Daddy. But not only my dad, but I kept that tradition alive. But my dad would take a little siesta in the middle of the day. We'd come in from the field, and here I go with my, when I was a kid, 16 hours out in the hot sun in South Dakota making hay all summer long. Sure. And Dad would take a little nap in the afternoon. And by God, you didn't make a peep. You didn't turn on the TV. Oh. You didn't walk across the creaky floor. You didn't open a pop can. done nothing because once Dad stirred, it was like, oh, what do we do? All right, let's get going. Let's get back out to the field. No, it was don't wake Daddy.
Yeah, that game. And they were so scary, too, like that when he would, wake up super abruptly. And then in Operation as well, with the zapping. All the games were kind of scary when I was a kid.
You said ice break. Don't break the ice.
Don't break the ice.
Don't break the ice.
We too had the if Dad's asleep, you best not make a sound for two reasons. You don't want to disturb him, but you also don't want him awake. It's like this is a golden moment in the day. The very rare he just afternoon on a weekend napping in his chair. I mean, it went into code of silence, bubble. Everybody shut up. If you had to cough, you would run to a room at the other end of the house and shut the door. It was like anything to keep that man asleep. Because, the minute he wakes up, A, he's bitching about who woke him up, and B, we're going right back out and raking some more leaves or whatever it was.
Don't wake Daddy. You mentioned the sirens going off, tornado warnings when you guys say while you were on vacation, didn't get the weather you'd hoped for down there in Florida. Sirens will be going off in a couple of Thursday right here in Minnesota. We'll talk a little bit about that here near the top of the hour, and we're going to have to do this story. We can't avoid it all morning long. They did... There's an 82-year-old woman who had some damage to her car. She'd come out in the morning, and her car's been damaged. Nobody ran into it. In fact, there was damage on the hood of the car. What the heck is going on? So she calls the police. They came out and set up a little camera for her, and they found out what was going on. We have a raw audio from the 82-year-old woman. It's super disturbing. You'll definitely want to hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Monday, April 15th. Happy Tax Day. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Actually, just Tom Petty, I Won't Back Down. That's from Full Moon Fever. That song, I always say that's his greatest song ever. I don't think it's my favorite, but it's the greatest in that. I just love the story of how it came to be and what it has meant to people ever since. A song about resilience, a song that everybody going through some tough times in their life can relate to. The story of that song is insane. Tom Petty lost his home to an arsonist. He and his family were at their home, and the whole place just erupted in flames. It's awful to lose your house in a fire. I have a dear friend who lost everything in a fire, and it's just one of those, it's a truly traumatizing event. But that was a lightning strike, hit a tree, branch fell in the attic, boom. This was an intentional fire. Someone set his house on fire on purpose while he and his family were inside. They escaped, but clearly were freaked out by that. And then not only freaked out, but homeless and lost everything in that fire.
And he talked about it in subsequent interviews, wrote several songs about it. I mean, it had a profound impact on him, like it would any one of us. Think about being targeted, your home. And I don't know, did they ever really kind of get to the bottom of, were they targeting Tom Petty, or was it just an arsonist that was out, burning up houses in the hills?
Never figured out
California.
Who did it. However, it was interesting. 11 days before the fire, Tom won a lawsuit against the B.F. Goodrich Tire Company. They wanted to use his song, Mary's New Car, in a TV commercial. He wouldn't let them, and the advertising agency commissioned a copycat song. And Tom Petty sued them and said, you just had someone write a song that sounds just like mine, and the singer sounds just like me. And the judge agreed. And they fined B.F. Goodrich $1 million. And then 11 days later, the fire happened. Now, there's never been a link. There's no link between the two. But I'm sorry, if someone burns your house down while you're sitting in it, you're going to look around and go, who's got a beef with me right now?
Does B.F. Goodrich have a beef? It was $1 million. It would have been, it was probably worth it for him. I don't
know. It's crazy.
B.F. Goodrich, $1 million. No one sues B.F. Goodrich.
$1 million.
Just saying.
I'm just saying. $1 million in 1988, that's a little bit more than that.
Not to B.F. Goodrich, it wasn't. No,
that's true.
But anyway, maybe.
The other insane thing about that song to me is that and a few of the other songs from his first album, I Won't Back Down and Free Fall included. Tom played those songs for his record company, and they literally went, We just don't hear any hits. I don't know. Never mind. They said we don't hear anything here. He couldn't believe it. A few months later, after all the A&R department people were fired for things like that, a new regime came in at MCA Records. They heard the record and went, oh, my God, let's put this out right now. It's amazing. Just goes to show a lot of our favorite songs, you just think about like, well, how many songs would we have never heard if those same people had been running this record company?
Or if they would have just been in charge of the label that Machine Gun Kelly's at and would have prevented that music from being made. It could have gone the other way.
Perfect.
These things swing.
It's like, no, I don't hear any hits here. That's an old classic. There have been a lot of songs written about like this isn't a single. You don't hear a single. That's the words. I've heard that very thing from record company. We don't hear a single.
Yeah.
It's like, really? Well, do you hear any music? Cab Calloway, I believe it was, when Columbia Records came to him and said, sorry, we're going to release you. You're not selling any records. He said, I'm confused. I thought my job was to make records and your job was to sell records.
Great answer.
How that
I love
goes.
it. And I get it. Artists will often say, I didn't hear it. I didn't think it was a single. I mean, you hear that all the time from artists. Well, and sometimes it's their biggest hit.
Yep.
That I get. You're too close to it. You're writing. It's personal. I don't understand how that process goes on. I'm on the other side of it as just a fan. But I would think, if you got a job as a record exec, that would be your job to be able to identify those and get those songs out there, or just to, deal cocaine to artists. One of the two. But
both. Let's not kid ourselves. A lot of times back in the day, anyway, 70s and 80s, a lot of the single was almost always the song that sounds nothing like the band has done before. Like, you could put out a new album, 10 new songs, and one of them is an outlier, but that's invariably going to be the single because you're just sending up a smoke signal. It's like, hey, look over here. Here's a new album, and this single is supposed to get everyone's attention. And so oftentimes, like Blondie's The Tide is High, they didn't have a whole album of songs like that. They had that one weird outlier, but it was right away like, well, that's got to be the single. That's going to have to do it. The other thing record company people say, the other thing people will say at gigs is, well, I see what you guys are going for. It's like the worst, I've heard it. Oh, I see what you're trying to do up there. And it's like, that sounds like you're trying to be nice, but you're actually insulting the bejesus out of us.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's an insult. Yeah.
No, I see what you're going for up there. Yeah, no, that's cool. I mean, one time a friend said that we played a gig before we had a record deal. My band played a gig in front of a great songwriter guy that we all loved from a band called the DBs named Peter Halsapple. And we were really excited. He came to see our band, and he said that. He goes, I see what you're going for, but he meant it very sincerely. And he said, that was terrible. Guys, bad night, but I get where you're going. And that was the one time it was palpable because it was a guy who really did care about us, giving us
maybe a little bit.
It was very constructive. I've walked off stage and had people say that, though. Yeah, no, I see what you're trying to do up there. It's like, ooh, ow. And the only response to that, because you have to be willing to back it in. You have to be able to. You have to have something in your pocket. You need your own not offensive sounding but still insulting response. And of course, the only thing to come back with is, well, that's a weird thing to say out loud. That's a good one, Yeah. It's good to know how to say things to people but it sounds nicer. British people have the perfect out
so
because
dry.
No matter what they say, that accent, it's hard to even notice when British people are arguing with each other. It still sounds like they're just having fun. And later you look at the transcript and you're like, oh my God, they were eviscerating each other. But when they put it in those accents, it just all sounds like a Monty Python skit. How could they be actually angry about it?
It sounds so snarky. They just sound snarky.
Yeah.
I mentioned I was in England last October. We're over there, and a lady says, and she's working at this rather nice hotel we're staying at, and says to me, I mentioned something that we did today, and she goes, good for you. And I'm like, what did you just give me the good for you? And Maria was explaining, no, I think she was being sincere. I'm like, she was not being sincere. She's like, why would they insult a hotel guest? And I was like, I don't know. It sounded awfully snarky to me.
Well, there's always, that's the English version of bless your heart, the Southern insult of all insults. Oh, bless your heart.
Bless your heart.
I have said this one for years, almost exclusively to men. I'll go, oh, honey.
Oh, they hate that. Oh my God.
Boy, that'll wind a guy up in a real heartbeat to make fun of something he said, but then also to tag it with honey.
Yeah.
Oh, honey.
Yeah.
There are some really good ones. This is another one like that. Oh, that sounds like something you'd say. Think about that for a second. That's
what?
a good one. Oh yeah, that sounds like something you'd say. Sure.
That catches you off guard, doesn't it?
It's important. Another one, I heard my dad say this, and it took me a minute, and I realized like it's pretty genius, which is, I admire your enthusiasm.
Oh, yeah.
Good for you. You don't know what a wasted effort this is because you are clueless. But gosh, you mean it. I admire your enthusiasm.
Oh, yeah, right.
Always fantastic.
Yeah, that's a good one. I can use some of these today at work, I think.
Oh, we could use these every day. Who are we kidding?
What was that? I forget the movie, but it was maybe your low self-esteem is just common sense. I remember that.
There is that one.
I've got the common sense. Thank you.
It's impossible to underestimate you.
Oh,
see, that sounds initially like a compliment.
I think I've received that one a few times, and right, because your initial reaction is like, well, wait a minute, what did you say to me? Like, I had been on a morning show that I was doing, not this morning show, another morning show, and I had been on it for almost a year, and someone on the air says, I didn't know you were funny. I was like, what? I've been cracking jokes for a year. Okay, I see what you're saying there. I see what you're doing.
I'm working
That's
overtime
fun. I didn't know you were funny.
These things happen. Okay, I like this one, too. Your teacher always handed your test back face down, didn't she?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because she didn't want the other students to see who got the A+ and screwed up the curve, you know?
Yeah, right. Uh-huh.
Oh, well, I don't know. What can you do? Try. These are how fights get started. Passive-aggressive. A lot of these apply in good old Minnesota because Minnesota has taken passive-aggressive, otherwise known as Minnesota Nice, and elevated it to an art form. They can do it really sweet, especially if you get up north and they throw a little accent in there for you. It's kind of like that English accent thing. You're like, wait a minute, are you making fun of me? I'm making fun of you.
No.
Ah, you betcha.
It goes in every direction, doesn't it? I saw a documentary. My wife and I watched a documentary years ago. One of those, I don't know, it wasn't History Channel. I'm trying to think. Maybe it was A&E or just some cable network that had weird things. And there was a whole documentary about people who were in love with inanimate objects. And there's a name for it. And I remember was a woman who lived in Paris, and she was in love with a wrought iron fence. and there's a specific type
Awkward.
of fencing that she was very, very, very drawn to. And they showed this woman, and she was kind of goth looking, just to be
of
true.
Course.
But she was dead serious. And there was a scene where she was walking by an old, 17th century cemetery, but it had a black wrought iron fence around it. Mm. And this is the line that we always would laugh about. She looked over and saw this fence, and she went, I didn't know this was going to be here. And she literally was holding with her, the most loving. And and they talked about this is a real thing that happens. People truly become in love. They fall in love. They cannot stop themselves. And I thought about that because that was a line my wife and I would say for years. We'd walk into a McDonald's and I'd look over and I would just see the shake machine and go, oh, I didn't know that was going to be here. It was just, it's the shtick you have. You have your own little funny short.
I've been sexually attracted to a milkshake machine before. Yeah,
sure you have.
That gets me worked up.
But I was, see, ooh. Don't say the word creamy in that raspy voice of yours. But this is what I was reminded of because a 52-year-old man in North Carolina was just arrested. His name is Walter McRae, which sounds like a golfer from the 50s. Remember when Walter McRae hit that bogey at Amen Corner? Just one of those names. Walter McRae was arrested. He has been having what is being called an affair, a years-long affair with his neighbor's 2008 Toyota Avalon.
Oh, God.
They call it mechanophilia, a sexual attraction to machines or vehicles.
Yeah.
Now, this woman, the victim in this case, it's not the car itself, it's the car's owner. She's an 82-year-old woman. Several years ago, oh boy, are we going to do this? Yeah. Several years ago, she started noticing some strange fluids on and under her car.
Oh, God.
Huh. Oil, perhaps? Maybe some coolant.
She took it in. The mechanic said, I think someone's doing something to your car. This is clearly not oil or gas, or this is not antifreeze. This is not windshield wiper cleaning fluid. This might be a little something. So she set up cameras to try to see if she could find somebody doing something. The perp would always move the cameras. He'd always see them, and he would move them so as not to capture the situation. Eventually, after several complaints, the police said, let's put up our own surveillance equipment. My man had a date with this car last Sunday night. I still just can't believe this. The police caught him. 10 charges, including felony stalking, damage to property, tampering with a vehicle. The woman, Carolyn Taylor, gave a little bit of an insight to the local news down in North Carolina.
They caught him on camera. They came Monday morning, and they took the films out. And they come back to the door and said, we got him this time. She said, we got good films, we got good pictures, but it was more than we really wanted to see, so...
That's more than anybody wanted to see.
So all right, I'm getting a little, some of this is pixelated, so he's not, immediately, I'm just a dumbass guy. Mechanophilia, I'm thinking, what, the tailpipe? You're right up the old tailpipe, huh? But apparently, so I'm like, how's he damaging the car? How are they even knowing about this? But apparently, he's crawling on the hood, just sort of dry humping the hood then with his trousers down. God. And there's something about that car, and a Toyota Avalon, you couldn't have picked like a Ford Mustang or, an old Vet or something like that. You went with an 82-year-old woman's Toyota Avalon, if I got that right. I don't have it in front of me. I'm pretty sure that's not a very sexy car is all I'm saying. And why her? And it had to be this car. So you say mechanophilia, a sexual attraction to machines or vehicles. We had a guy call into the show many years ago that could only get off in a car, whether it was with himself or someone else. But yeah, he had to be in a car and then we deduced this mechanophilia thing that we properly diagnosed him and sent him on his way. But this guy actually has to be, and it's this car. He's in love with it. It's an emotional attachment to this, or maybe he was going around and doing this to a lot of the cars in the neighborhood. My God.
I think he's just, by the way, the Toyota Avalon from 2008 is an attractive ride. Don't kid yourself. I mean, it's
I think I said 82 or something. She's 82.
She's 82. It's from 2008. It's a wonderful year. It's a model. It's a car that looks like, I don't know, 9 other cars that you could see on the road that year.
Right.
Nothing specifically. So I think that it's not so much that car model, it's that specific car. I think it's probably, I wouldn't be surprised if the owner, if it's something to do with her perfume or her, her choice of breath mint. There's something extra in there.
Well, right. Yeah, I mean, because there were some charges against him related to her, even though she's tucked away semi-safely inside. This is her property, and this is happening on her property, so he gets charged. But I don't know. This seems really like car-specific, like he's really into the car. I mean,
I would. I would. I think if I discovered that was happening, if a neighbor was in love with my car and leaving bodily fluids on and around the car, I would have a conversation with the car and explain, sorry, this has been happening. We've put this guy away. That's the only way you're going to probably get me to talk to my car is something like inside. This.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm wondering, see, I'm the jealous type. I'm getting in the car going, oh, did you enjoy that? Did you enjoy that last night? I'm going to the grocery store. I'm sorry, I'm not going to hump your hood. I'm just going to the grocery store, and I don't know, I'd be a little jealous. Like, I'd be a little worried that, my car was enjoying what was going on, and I wasn't manning up.
I offer you respect as an owner. I do what you're here to do. There's no funny business. You're excited by this weirdo? Great. I thought I knew you. I can't turn my back on you, Ford Explorer.
You think you'd like it more if she cleaned it up real nice and got some car washes, or just left it real dirty?
I think he wants it dirty.
Or maybe a nice wax on there. Wouldn't that feel good? A nice wax. I mean, who's all right? So we've got this guy. He's a mechanophiliac. I don't even know if that's if I said that right, but that's his thing. He's in love. He digs inanimate objects. By the way, there was a story many years ago about a guy that was doing this with helicopters. He was climbing these chain link barbed wire fences and breaking into airports. And his thing was, he would get off on helicopters.
Oh my God.
It's not for us to understand.
No, it's not. It's really not.
No, but someone's going to have to explain this one to me. There's a guy that spent 10 years of his life inventing something, and he just invented it, just rolled it out, and I'm scratching my head. I'm like, why does the world need this? How did you spend 10? It looks like something you might spend 10 minutes stoned inventing, but not 10 years of your life perfecting. It really has me baffled. We also have some, I think, disturbing audio to go with this. That's coming up here about 8:25-ish. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show, Monday, April the 15th. That would be Tax Day, and that is, of course, the Beatles with Tax Man. The lead track to Revolver, their greatest album. I will accept no argument. George Harrison, for the first time, got the first tune on a Beatles album with that one. So here's George. You're in this band. You join. You're the youngest kid. You know, they're still young teenagers. He's, 15, 16 when he starts playing with John and Paul. And then they go through the Hamburg days. They get the record deal. They get the manager. They blow up to the biggest thing in the world. And he's still like the third wheel because you got John and Paul writing hit after hit after hit. And George is like, well, I think I've got a couple of good songs. And it's like, yeah, whatever, kid. You know, but eventually, you know, they realized, well, no, he's got a good idea here. That you know, George, keep going, man. You're going to make something of yourself. But there was never enough room for equal billing on those Beatles albums, and he turned himself into a tremendous songwriter. And in fact, if George Harrison had been in any band other than the Beatles, probably would have been the primary songwriter. I mean, think about it. Like, if you look at the songs he gave the band from 66 forward, and then look at the first few solo albums he released, especially his debut, All Things Must Pass, any band would have been happy to have that guy writing their songs for them. Make no mistake about it. Somebody looked at him and said, hey, you're onto something, kid. Go for it. And that's great. And sometimes in life, people will look at a kid and go, hey, kid, you're onto something. Go for it. And it's not quite like a classic rock song. It's more like, like we said earlier, oh, honey, go ahead. Yeah, try that all you want. There are people with ideas, and some of them need to be supported and promoted and encouraged. And some, I think it's safe to say, we could just let them kind of go on their own and not really worry about it. Case in point, a man named Chris Randazzo in Arizona just spent 10 years perfecting something, working on it, and he was given some encouragement. Before I tell you exactly what he's talking about, here he is right now telling a little bit about what he's been working on, again, for 10 years.
All right. I'm going to get this. Hang on. I'm hitting all sorts of the wrong buttons right now. It is Monday. You know what? I was doing my taxes during the break.
These things happen.
Know. Is audio tax deductible? All right, here we go. There's Chris with his invention.
I've been working on this for a long time, all the way back in 2014 when I first came up with the idea. And I thought to myself, if there's only a way I could just put this bucket in the cup holder, then I could put my arm around my wife and still eat the popcorn. Right? And eureka, that was my eureka moment. Well, I applied for patents. He even told me, he says, I think you got something here, kid.
Yep, that's right. This is his invention. He came up with a popcorn bucket for movie theaters that has a base that fits in the cup holder in your theater seat. So you don't have to hold the bucket in your lap.
Oh, I love this guy.
You can plant the popcorn bucket in the cup holder, and then you can put one arm around your date, and the other hand can be used to grab the popcorn.
Genius.
It's called the hands-free popcorn bucket. And inside a warehouse right near the Phoenix airport, a 400-ton press is turning that invention into reality. They're booming now. He's got a plan, a process, and this may very well be coming to you.
Well, this is, I would never, because I have a drink. I like to take a drink in with me. Where the F am I supposed to put my drink now?
I mean, the way they are now, you basically have big lazy boy Barca-Lounger movie theater seats. I think they're going to, why not just have like a popcorn runner or a popcorn, what am I looking at? Like just somebody who sits next to you and holds it for you.
Yeah.
Why not?
It'd be cool if there was like a thing you could just stick something into your vein and then the drink can just flow straight into you. You won't even have to use any energy
It's called
sip.
an IV drip. You want that for the theater?
Yeah, why not? I don't want to do anything. I'm excited for the future and how lazy
How are you going to get to the
be.
theater? Maybe I ought to just set this up at home is what I'm saying. I mean, an IV drip does sound kind of nice, doesn't it? We had them come into the radio station one time, and they just put IV drips in everybody, and we did the show.
I need that so bad. I have so much traveling.
It just made my arm cold.
My
right arm was just cold. Yeah, I don't know what it was. They didn't have any caffeine in it. I know that. No good drugs.
Wait. Seriously? What were you getting dripped?
I don't know. It was some like a solution that was supposed to give us energy and make us feel good and that sort of thing. And I don't know what was going on. Like I was expecting more, but that was their business. I don't know if they're still out there doing it. I forget the name of the business, but that was their thing. Yeah, this IV drip that would, and I thought, I don't know, can I just drink something? Do I have to stick a needle in my arm to get that effect?
That's pretty good.
I've got a mouth for it. It can already go in my body. I use my mouth. It's got taste buds and everything. It can be quite an exciting venture.
I tried
rather than
to,
jamming a needle in my arm and putting it in my bloodstream. Or enemas, Taylor. Candace, you can do it that way.
Yeah, I've never done one of those, shockingly.
What?
Enemas? Well, you're young.
Shockingly.
I think I got close a couple times, but...
It was right there, and then...
Well, no, because I get stage fright, and it didn't, maybe TMI or whatever. I had a little bit of an issue with that over vacation. I get stage fright, when I'm staying other places on vacation. I just can't do it.
What do you mean? All I associate stage fright with is actual stage fright or not being able to pee in front of other men. What would be an example of stage fright?
I just couldn't...
You just can't release. I
couldn't release for like 4 days.
Oh, Lord.
That's constipation, yeah.
Yeah, but it's something about traveling, and I don't know, maybe just because I was staying at someone's house. I was just like not free.
Not your own, right.
But it all worked out. They have pills for that.
Yeah, they do.
Because I was in Arkansas, and then I went to a more familiar place. I flew to Denver to be with my friend Jessica for her birthday. And so when I got to hers, I have no issue doing anything weird around her or normal
Did you
things.
blast past her when she opened the door like, get out of my way, I got to use your bathroom.
Pretty
I've been waiting to get to Denver all week. I got to...
I'm sorry, what your friend's name again?
Jessica.
I feel like Jessica knows you. She knew you'd spent 4 days in Arkansas. She probably opened the door and immediately just got out of the way. She didn't greet you at the doorway. She opened her front door as the Uber pulled up, and she just cleared out and said, go for it.
Toilet seat was up, fresh roll of toilet paper.
Incense has already been lit. Let her rip.
Yeah.
Wow. Nothing that 4 days in northwestern Arkansas won't take care of. A lot of people recommend acupuncture. I know people who swear by acupuncture. I've tried it once. It was at a gig. A lot of times when you're on tour, a promoter will provide a masseuse and different, chiropractor, whatever, backstage. Because when you're just on the road constantly, that can be really, really helpful. We got to a gig in Florida. There was a masseuse, a chiropractor, and an acupuncturist backstage. And I was like, yeah, you know what? It's probably high time I tried this acupuncture thing. And it was a very lovely woman, and she sat down and said, what are you looking for? And I'm like, I don't know. What do you just make me feel better? Hell, my arms hurt, my elbows hurt, my wrists hurt. I'm a drummer.
Everything hurts.
I have headaches. I thrash my head around like a fish on land when I played. Let's go. And she said, I got you. And she put all these needles in me, and they don't hurt. You can barely feel them as they enter and you're going to get all the blood flow. and she talked about the process and explained it and had the music playing. And I sat there, gave it a good 20 minutes, and then when she removed all the needles, I went, oh, man, it's amazing. Thank you. And I walked out of there and I thought, that's the biggest waste of time. I didn't feel any different. I just felt like an idiot. And I ended up paying like $30 to feel no better whatsoever. That was my one experience. There's a healthcare provider in Iowa, an acupuncturist who's in a little bit of trouble right now. They loaded up a patient with needles. They said, I'm going to leave you here. You have to give it time for this to work on the blood flow and the circulation. And then that acupuncturist ran around the corner to their home. Like, I just got to run home and get something, but you're just going to be sitting in this chair for 30 minutes. No big deal. Right. Except that the acupuncturist went home and fell asleep.
Oh. Oh, God.
If I was an acupuncturist, I would have this story.
Yeah.
So they went home, take a little cat nap there for the 30 minutes. Really? You're
woke up.
Well, that sounds like me in college.
They say it was an
accident. I can go back to the dorm for 20 minutes and take a nap between classes.
Well, no, this was apparently not the plan. It was, I got there, sat down for a minute. There was not a nap planned. It just sort of overtook this particular person. Woke up and completely forgot. This guy's name is Dave. He completely forgot the patient was even there after he woke up.
Dave.
Patient waited 2 hours after the session was supposed to end, pulled the needles out himself, and then called the police.
Oh, well, I mean, first of all, let me ask you, Steve, can you feel the needles? I mean, I think they just kind of go right in the skin, you know. It's not like they drive them into your body.
I don't remember feeling anything. I just remember sitting there going, I can't believe that this is what's happening. You know?
All right. Well, it's not like in the James Bond movie where they, put him on the machine that was supposed to, stretch his spine, and then, the lady walked out, and then one of the guys from Spectre came in, or like one of those heat machines where you sit in with just only your head's exposed, and someone came in and also in the same James Bond movie where they just crank it up to 1,000 degrees. I mean, you're sitting there. Why would you call the cops?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not assault. I'd probably I wouldn't pay for it.
The patient was
I'd
confused.
give you a 1-star review.
Yeah, the patient said, nothing hurt. I was not damaged, but I was just confused. This guy's, Dave Wang is the guy's name. He's not facing actual charges. He may lose his medical license, which is a bit of a stretch. Medical license or acupuncture license? He's been fined by the State Board of Medicine $500. I hope that was a good nap. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, wow. It's, right. Probably not the business for you. You got to take that more seriously. People are in there for treatment, I guess. I don't get the acupuncture thing, but I don't get the cupping thing either, but some people really seem to dig that.
I saw a guy. By the way, KQ talking text line 651-989-ROCK. If you want to share a thought on any of this, feel free to give us a ring. I saw a guy on the beach this past week, and he had obviously been doing some cupping. His back, he had like 6 of those big brown circles.
Yeah.
And he and his friends were playing this game on the beach where they stand with a little like trampoline thing in between them, and then they slap a ball into it and it bounces up and they slap it off. It's like a 4-man ping pong, but a bouncy mini trampoline. It's the dumbest game. It's somebody who is like, I don't know, let's take the best elements of hacky sack and ping pong and volleyball and make a game that makes no sense. And let's
mash up.
And we'll do it on a windy beach. That'll be great. Just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it does kind of sound ridiculous.
But the game was silly, and watching these guys flounder at it was funny. But then recognizing the guy had been doing some heavy-duty cupping that morning, which is supposed to increase the blood flow. When I see cupping marks, all I think about is Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah, right.
First time I ever saw it, heard about it, was Gwyneth Paltrow discussing the suction cup mark, and I just thought to myself, that's another thing I'll never do. And you could tell me, my own doctor could say, hey, this is what you need, and I'd literally have to say to him, I'm sorry, Gwyneth did it, I can't do it.
Yeah, right. That's probably a pretty good bar to set for your life. If Gwyneth did it, really question it. Take a good long look at it before you engage in that. Have you ever been hypnotized?
I've never been hypnotized.
I have a friend that was hypnotized for smoking, and she said it worked. She quit smoking after many failed attempts. But you've never tried the hypnotism thing for even for a laugh at a comedy club or something like that?
But I would. I would totally try that. And I, too, have a friend who said hypnosis was the cure for smoking. That was the only thing. It just happened, and it worked out great.
Well, so for most of my life, I'm like, bunch of phooey, nonsense. Perhaps for weak-minded people, they can be hypnotized. Not me. I'm too sharp. I'm too on the ball. I'm too much of a cynic. And one of the reasons was I did a radio promotion in Sioux City, Iowa, where they buried me alive for 2 days to raise money. And in the coffin, I went down into the ground.
Nice.
And Dr. Silkini, this is what he did, radio promotions. This was his stunt of the year. He did one with our buddies down the hall here, too. But mine was being buried alive. And he said, what we'll do? I said, no, I'm in there for 2 days in a coffin. I mean, what if I got to pee or poop? I'm going to have to pee or poop. I'm just sure of it. And he said, it's okay. I'm going to hypnotize you so that you don't have to. I'm like, right. But what's the fail-safe if the hypnotism thing doesn't work? Because that's a bunch of, witch doctor voodoo stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, it works. And he hypnotized me, and it did not work. And that's a story for another time.
Wow.
Right. Exactly. Because there were TV cameras there when they opened up the coffin. Remember, we're raising money for Jerry's kids. However, I'm at a comedy club having a couple of beers, and I'm introducing the comics down at Knuckleheads, and there's a hypnotist on stage, and next thing I know, I'm on stage. My shirt's inside out, and people are laughing, and I feel okay about myself, but I got hypnotized when he hypnotized the people on stage. Sometimes out in the audience, some of the people will get hypnotized, and he'll look out and say, we've got 1 or 2 people that went under out in the audience, bring them up on stage, and let's make them walk around and cluck like a chicken, or in my case, take off my shirt and dance on a chair like I was a Chippendales dancer.
Wow, very nice.
Yeah, this sort of thing. So it does, and I did all that crap. So I know for a fact it works. Otherwise, I was not that drunk. I wasn't whiskey drunk. I was just a few beers, which I guess made me susceptible to being hypnotized.
That's the part they don't tell you that
part.
They don't tell you that part. They pull the charm out. They start going, pay attention to the charm, and then they say, I hope you've had some Jim Beam. Candace, do we have a caller on the horn right now?
Yeah, we have Peach from Le Sueur.
Peach,
good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
What's happening, brother?
Hey, just going to give you guys a call. You're talking about different treatments going. I had a severe case of migraine headaches for about a year.
Oof.
And my better half suggested I went and had a massage for my head. So I had a myofascial massage, I think they call it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. A facial.
And anybody that's ever going to have one of them, be prepared, because that was the worst experience I ever had going, you want to get sick.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it loosens the toxins up between your skull and your skin.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
And
what happened?
You cannot imagine how terrible you feel after that. Going, you're puking, you're diarrhea. It's crazy stuff.
But after you got, now, Peach, once you got through the puking and all of that, the diarrhea and all of that stuff, then did you feel better? Because I imagine that was part of the toxins escaping your bod.
Yeah, it releases the toxins, but no, it didn't do a bit of good.
Didn't help the migraine at all. That's awful.
No, that sucks.
No, not a bit. So I'm not that I'm turning down anybody for massages, but
I hear you.
Yeah, right.
For
or
me
a facial.
Going, it was one of the worst experiences I lost.
Right on.
I mean, it could be good though.
You're walking and you lose your the balance and everything.
That's terrible.
Oh, really? Well, yeah, that sounds.
Week.
Well, it sounds like that could have been some of the effect of the migraine, too, that equilibrium, that balance thing as well. Candace, this might be just the thing for your constipation.
Well, it's facial. Weird because...
yeah, that's funny.
Peach, thank you for the call, brother.
It's weird because...
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, bye, Peach. It's weird that I had a migraine while I was there as well.
Uh-oh.
So I wonder if the correlation, having a migraine blocks you up.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
I know it really messes people up. Migraines are just nothing I really ever want to deal with. I've had some. My mom is prone to migraines, and there were times where it was like the house was sealed up. Dad's like, your mom has a migraine, just stay outside. And then she would have to take her in sometimes for emergency room shots. She'd have to get a shot of Depravol or something like that. I'm screwing up the name, but yeah. But it's if you look at art, there was an art exhibit that came through. I believe it was at the Walker many years ago, and it was people that have migraines and the art that they produce to describe their migraines. You've never seen a horror movie that terrifying. You've never seen imagery in a ministry show that terrifying.
You're like, oh my God, what I wouldn't give to just look at the Scream for a palate cleanse.
Yes, right.
Unbelievable.
And you're like, that's going on. That's what you feel like. Ew, my God, it can't be much that's worse than migraines.
Candace, do we have another call?
Casey from Eden Prairie.
Casey, what's up, man? Good morning, Casey.
I don't know. I thought you said Casey. Maybe you didn't.
Who we got on the phone right now?
Casey.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, who we got? Hi, I don't know your name, sir.
Casey from Eden Prairie.
It is Casey. All right, good. We got it right.
Yeah, right. So I've got a little acupuncture story about a friend of mine here.
Okay.
Some years back, he had the what they thought was the twisted ball syndrome, with the pain and that sort of thing. Yeah. The doctors could not figure out what he had going on, so they actually gave him a reference or to go to an acupuncture specialist. And evidently, soon as they did the acupuncture, essentially it cleared up, and he had like a big flush out, and it just, kind of nasty, but I believe it cured him right up. I mean, if that's, if anyone's ever got the twisted ball syndrome or anything like that, so...
Okay. Well, no, but I would try anything. Acupuncture, hypnosis, bullet to the head, twisted ball. That's where the testicle actually gets twisted, right? It's supposed to be insanely painful.
Right. Evidently, he just had some kind of toxic blockage in there that they just could not undo, with medication or any other procedure. So
I'm in pain just sitting here now.
Maybe a hooker would have helped.
So...
Well, hey, all right. Thanks for the call, and thanks for turning my stomach with a conversation about twisted. I'm just kidding. I appreciate it, brother. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks, Casey.
So the twisted ball, that's a new one on me. Sorry, I'm unfamiliar.
It happens. I've heard of it happening more commonly in dogs. It'll happen with dogs that have not obviously been neutered. They'll get that twisted, and then they'll neuter them after that. But yeah, I know that we had neighbors that had breeding labs, and every once in a while one would get a twisted nut, and it was not good. It was not fun, and they had to go.
Chauncey has been neutered, and I bet somehow he could still get it.
Twisted nut. Oh, well, I like these homeopathic things that we're talking about. How about a fart walk? Did you know fart walks are trending right now? And this is from an actual, I don't know, she's an author. She might be a doctor. She's a big fan of high-fiber meals, and fart walks are now trending as a healthy thing to do. A little crop dusting. We'll get into that. This is a fun show, isn't it? Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show, Monday, April the 15th. Good morning. After a week away, we are back. We're in a good mood, despite the fact that it's tax day. Tomorrow on the show, at a little before 8 a.m., Jason Bonham's going to join us. Jason Bonham, the son, of course, of Led Zeppelin drummer John Bonham. Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin experience will be in town a week from tomorrow. It's a great night of Led Zeppelin music with Jason on the drum kit with a tremendous band. He's going to call in tomorrow to discuss that and a few other things, I'm sure, along the way. Plays with Sammy Hagar and Michael Anthony, and then he's got the Black Country Communion with Glenn Hughes and Joe Bonamassa. He's a busy man, and he's going to be with us tomorrow morning a little before 8 a.m. Every now and again, I see, stories of, we were talking about some health trends, off the beaten path, acupuncture, different things people recommend. You'll see something occasionally about Ayurvedic medicine, like a medicine from India, cleans your organs, et cetera, et cetera. Years ago, I was feeling sluggish and had some weird symptoms, and I talked to a buddy, and he said, "Oh, I've got a great Ayurvedic doctor. She'll get you straightened away. Go see her." And I, being dumb, went, "Sure, okay, I'll check it out." And this woman, who was very lovely, she said, I'm going to give you this piece of metal and you scrape your tongue 4 times a day with it, and then take these supplements, which were all like herbs I'd never heard of. And then she said, and use like ghee butter in all of your cooking. And she just gave me this laundry list of things to do for a natural, perfect way to cleanse out all my organs and feel better. And I thought, that sounds like a lot, but I'll try it. And I did for a couple days. And then I just bumped into a doctor and he said, what's wrong? And I told him, and he goes, dairy, red meat, and alcohol. Can you live without those for a few weeks? And I said, sure. He goes, yeah, well, then live without them for a few weeks and tell me how you feel. And honestly, I was all better.
Really? You lived without those things for a few weeks? I wouldn't even...
Yeah, it turned. He said, it's probably your gallbladder. And I said, really? And he explained all this stuff. And honestly, like, it just cleared up and it was all good to go. And I thought, yeah, okay, the guy's a doctor. He went to school and got degrees, and he didn't just hang out in a hut somewhere and meditate about wanting to heal other people.
Right.
It made perfect sense to me.
Actual real medicine.
Yeah, it's crazy. And with that in mind, I don't look for credit I haven't earned, but sometimes you should give people credit for things they earned without even knowing it. And case in point, a new trend right now, a woman is talking about. Well, let me just put it this way. Her name's Marilyn Smith. She's a cookbook author, and she's talking about something she does that apparently a lot of people are really excited about. I'll let her explain. You mentioned earlier, Zepp, a fart walk. Here is Marilyn herself.
About 60 minutes after we've eaten, we put on our running shoes and off we go. Now, why do we do this? Well, we eat a lot of fiber, so we have gas. Everybody does. And, you fart when you walk. So that's why I named it that. But the main reason that we do the fart walks is because by walking for as little as 2 minutes, we usually walk for about 10, 15, 20, but not really quickly. It's more of a moderate walk. We are helping reduce our chances of developing type 2 diabetes. So, sign yourself up for fart walks.
Okay, out for a little fart walking.
Or as I call it, walking.
Yeah.
I've been doing this. That's what I mean. I want bonus. I want extra points. I want credit. I didn't even realize I was going above and beyond on a health regimen. Yeah, walking and farting, to me, they literally go foot in butt. It's hand in hand.
I walk and I fart.
Yeah.
The best place to do it is like in the grocery store aisle. No, don't. We call that crop dusting out where we come from out there in South Dakota. We're rednecks, you lay them down as you walk, and sort of as you walk away from it. That way, if there's anyone in your wake, they're not going to blame it on you. But you got to let it out. Better out than in, right?
Where's the worst place you could possibly fart?
The worst place I could possibly fart. Well, I was. We were doing that whole spooning thing in bed, and I cut one, and it was not cool. I thought everyone was asleep, and I thought it was going to be quiet. Mm-hmm. It definitely was not quiet, and she was definitely not asleep.
The big spoon or the little spoon?
I was the big spoon in this case, so I didn't get it on her.
That's not as bad.
No, you're right. It's not as bad, but it does kill the cuddly moment. It wasn't. We were done cuddling. It was time to get up and get moving then, which I was, moving towards maybe a little action, a little morning mojo, getting up with my get down. But, that killed that. So that's the worst time. That's the answer to your question, Candace. The worst time to fart is when you want to get laid, because it's a real turnoff, apparently. And if it's not, well.
Not for me. In my current relationship. Everyone's proud of me when I do.
Really? Everyone? More than one person?
It's good. It's good to fart. It's good for you.
Yeah. You don't want to leave
Feels good. Get it out.
You don't want to have a backup in the pipes.
You get those cramps, those abdominal cramps.
Yeah. Oh, sure. I think the loudest fart I ever heard, and this sounds like something from a bad movie, but it's entirely true. It did happen at church. I have no idea who was responsible.
Yeah.
But it was anybody that was ever attending St. Peter and Paul Catholic Church back in the late 70s will know the story of right after communion. Very quiet moment. There's some reflective organ music. The choir is yet to sing. The priest is, he's putting away the implements. It's that moment. Most people are kneeling. And somebody in this church who was sitting in that pew, because you could never get the residence unless you were on a wooden bench, I mean, someone ripped so loud and hard and like aggressively that not one person didn't laugh out loud. It was so much. All the adults, nobody could possibly hold it back in.
How about the pastor?
Oh no, everybody was like. I mean, I almost feel like he even said, "Is everything okay?" Like he even threw a line out there. But we talked about it for weeks. Like, oh my God, I remember 3 weeks ago when that guy someone farted. It was and it resonated throughout the whole building.
Well, you've got good acoustics in a lot of those churches, you know.
You do.
That echoes in there.
and of course, the immediate concern was that my dad would assume it was one of us. And, right away, even though it was clearly from the other side of the room, my dad would be the kind of guy who would not only suspect it was one of us, but would suspect that we had learned how to throw our farts.
Well, that, my God, would be a superpower.
I was going to say, screw flying and invisibility and all of it. Let me throw farts. That's a superpower that's worth having.
I would not. That would be my new pastime. Forget skiing, riding motorcycles, dirt biking, all that's laying around watching TV. I would just be out all day throwing farts.
Yeah, man. Can you imagine?
Oh, yeah.
Whew.
Nasty.
Yeah, nasty and perfect. I literally can't imagine anything better than that. 651-989-ROCK is the KQ Talk and Text line. Candace, we have a caller.
Glenn from Burnsville.
Glenn, good morning.
Hey, guys. Good morning, y'all. How y'all doing?
We're great, brother. What do you got for us?
Hey, so back when I was a youngster, 6th grade, math class, Mr. Novelli was the teacher. I know him really well. I raised my hand because I had to excuse myself from the room. He told me to put my hand down and do my work. Okay. Well, I had to let one go. Yeah. And back in the days, these were wooden desks with wooden tables, chairs.
Sure, yeah. The one piece.
I kind of leaned over and let it rip, and it just bellowed and echoed throughout the classroom. Well, the teacher come barreling through the desk, pushing them all out of the way, grabbed me, threw me out in the hallway. I'm sitting out in the hallway doing my test, kind of laughing. The principal came walking by and asked me what I was doing out in the hallway, and I explained to him that I farted in class.
Yeah.
But what are you laughing for? Well, they're all sitting in the classroom with the stink fart. I'm out here in the fresh air.
That's right. They should automatically call recess and make you sit there in your own stink.
What was that? I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying they should have let them out for recess and let you sit in there with the stink.
Hey, man, you tried to tell him. Thanks for the call, brother. We appreciate it. I had a...
have a great day, everybody.
We had a bowling class when I was in high school. Every now and again, you just have a class where you're like, I can't believe they're giving us credit for bowling. Yeah. But and the bowling class, we left school like 3 days a week and went to the bowling alley, as you would do for a bowling class. And the Schaus brothers were at my school, the Schaus house right off the school campus. That was the party house in high school. Everybody hung out at the Schaus house. The Schaus' mom drove a bunch of us to bowling class one day in her station wagon. And as we were approaching the bowling alley, I had to release. I had a gas just build up, and I just let it fly. And it wasn't really loud, but it was silent but violent. It was one of the worst smelling farts that has ever existed. And everybody put the windows down. Everyone at the same moment went, oh my God, oh my God. And we pulled in, and I'm laughing about it, whatever. We all go in, we bowl for an hour. We get back in the car an hour later, and it's still just as pungent.
Oh, that's
true story.
Yeah,
and
that might have been a wet one.
And I was accused of actually... you must have crapped yourself. It was so bad. And I was like, no, it's just the power. It's just how strong I felt. But to this day, by the way, that was in probably 1980 or 81. And I kid you not, within the last year, 2 different people in text catching up. How you doing? How are the kids? Hey, remember that fart on the way to the bowling alley? We still talk about it.
Yeah, there's a legendary fart. I remember driving back from Montana 20 years ago, a ski trip with some buddies, all the way back to Minnesota, and I believe he laid it down in North Dakota somewhere, and it just we rolled down all the windows. We were freezing out the thing. You could see your breath. There was frost on our eyebrows, but that smell was still in there when we got to Minnesota. Thank God it wasn't my vehicle, Wow, that was...
That's how it goes. Candace, do we have another caller?
Craig from Richfield.
Craig, good morning.
Yeah, hey, you guys. Another wonderful topic of discussion this morning.
Sure. And we stumble into the tumbleweeds occasionally.
I used to work in downtown Minneapolis in the IDS Tower, and as you know, it's a pretty big building, and a lot of professionals working in that building. Well, I used to work on like the 30-some-odd floor, and a lot of times you take the express on the way down, so I don't know what you would call this. Zep had crop dusting, so I don't know, maybe you come up with something with an elevator. But I would go down, and I would be the only one in the elevator, and I would just let it rip.
Yeah, you would.
And you'd get down to the bottom floor, and there'd be a group of 5 or 10 people waiting to catch the elevator, and you just walk off smiling at all the people because you knew the surprise they were going to enjoy.
Yes.
Oh,
man. Yeah, we used to have a word for that. It was like dropping a Bernie or something like that, but it was based on a buddy's name that he did that. He had that weird pastime. He would also go into grocery stores, walk down the aisle of something or whatever, lay down a nasty, silent but deadly, and then evacuate the area, but go to a vantage point where he could watch from produce for people to come down the aisleway, especially when they were by themselves. They would make that face like, what in God's name? Is it something on the shelf? No, that's a special sort of, you're a special sort of weird, man.
Yeah, growing up with older brothers, my brother Jim was the best at framing you for his farts. He would, as he was still ripping, he would go, Steven! And that's it. Like, no evidence to the contrary will be accepted by the jury. It's like done. The fact that your name is called out while someone else is currently farting, you're judge, jury, and executioner.
Yeah.
That's all that was. 651-989-ROCK. We got a lot of people calling in right now, but we also got a hop. So
we do.
I guess we're going to stick right here, Zep.
Yeah, we're going to stick right here. Tell us about that inopportune fart or that opportune fart. I got it. Thank you. Who is this that sent this in? Oh, Brian. Another Brian just sent this in. It's called ghost riding, when you fart on the elevator and then make a quick ditch.
That's fantastic.
You're a ghost rider. We're talking about farts. 651-989-ROCK. Let's hear your fart story to wrap up the KQ Morning Show this morning. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show, Monday, April the 15th. Pay your taxes, for crying out loud. And if you've already done that and you want to share a thought or a story with us, you can still do that on the KQ Talk and Text line, 651-989-ROCK. Candace, somebody's been waiting through the whole break. Who is that?
Scott from good old Richfield.
Scott from good old Richfield. Good morning, sir.
Morning, how are you?
We're great, brother. What do you got for us?
Well, one day, Saturday afternoon, my wife, I fell asleep on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
My wife decided to take a video of me as I was snoring. The dog got up on the couch with me, and we were snoring together.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I noticed the camera repositions, and she just ripped one right in my face. I didn't wake up, but I just kind of stutter my sleep. And then I looked at the video later. I thought it was going to be a nice video of me just sleeping with the dog, and apparently it was something else.
Wow.
You have got yourself a keeper there. Congratulations, man.
I knew right then and there she was the one for me.
Yeah.
That's real love. That's beautiful right there.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you for the call. Well worth the wait on this end, my friend. 651-989-ROCK is the KQ Talk and Text line.
I mean,
what do they say?
That's such a dude roommate move. I mean, what can you do to get in the doghouse with this woman? What would you have to do? I feel like, it's kind of fair game. Not that I would try and achieve that. Like, I wonder, how I can break her, and make her really mad at me. But I just know that most of my guy behavior, I'm going to get away with the wife that videotapes herself farting in my face.
Yeah, wow. That's pretty strong. When we were kids, me and Zeb, maybe Candace, you can weigh in on this, but I think you probably missed the boat on, the kids will be fine for a while. What I'm getting at is my parents used to they would just take off. They would go, you have to go into the grocery store. Now, granted, I'm the youngest of a large family. There was almost always an older person around. But in the 70s, you were expected to look after your younger siblings before you were 10. I mean, early age, you were on your own. Hell, when I was 10, I was babysitting neighborhood kids. Very different times. A woman in Texas has been arrested because she left her 8- and 6-year-old alone in their apartment in Houston. No adult supervision. She didn't go to the grocery store, though. This is not a 70s, I stopped by and I bumped into Madge and we ended up having a margarita before I got home. No, she took a cruise for a week.
Oh, with an 8 and what did you say, an 8 and a 9-year-old?
8 and 6.
Oh, 8 and 6, and you just boogied out. No one was coming by to. All right,
gave them a direct. Hey, you guys, you got to know what you got to do here. Take care of. Here's the food you know how to make. Blah blah blah. An 8-year-old and a 6-year-old. Neighbors had called the police before she got back. They were like, "Hey, this lady's not really on the ball, and now we think these kids are alone long term, and it smells like pee." That was the problem. So these things happen. That's pushing the 70s lifestyle way over the line.
Yeah, even for I'm pretty liberal with that kind of stuff. I'm like, live and let live, kids. Toughen them up. But I'm not gonna join her on that one. No,
that one's a bit rough. Candace, do we have another caller?
Jerry from Owatonna.
Jerry, good morning.
I was just talking about the fart things you're talking about, crazy shit. So, I was incarcerated one time and let one rip after we just drank a bottle of cough syrup. That's how you get your there.
Okay.
And then I just let one rip. We were in the TV room and fucking it cleared the whole room. Dude said it was like a green fog came by.
A green fog? Wasn't that like in a Cheech and Chong? The green fog.
It was nasty. It's nasty. You drink a bottle of cherry cough syrup once and let one rip once.
I'm going to take your word for it, buddy.
Yeah, I'm not going to jump on that train myself, but I believe you, and I will not look at cherry cough syrup on the shelf the same way moving forward. I can promise you that.
Thanks, Jerry. Thanks for admitting that.
Thanks for admitting that.
He's like, I don't know if I should tell you my name or not. Am I really about to do this? And I was like, yep.
Yeah, he went for it. Strong move. Thank you, brother. We appreciate the call.
Probably asked himself the same question before he got incarcerated. Should I do this? Is this something I should do? It's all about not learning your lessons sometimes.
Man, that's pretty great. I mean, that's who knew cherry cough syrup?
I suppose you get a buzz off that, do you? The cherry cough syrup?
I guess, man. I don't really know. That's
if you're too lazy to make the prison wine, how do they do that in the toilet? Well, he's gone now. We don't know. We'd have to Google it.
Now, I've knocked back some cough syrup in my day, and I've just completely hallucinogenic filled dreams as I slept it off. Yeah. But I don't recall the green fog emanating from my body. That's
well, we don't know. He'd also been to the cafeteria. Maybe there were some hard-boiled eggs involved. Maybe a nice soup, a big thick chowder or something like that they were serving that day. So could have been probably just more than the cough syrup. But what do you mean you threw back some cough syrup? You mean more than like 2 tablespoons?
Yeah, there's been a couple times when I was just like, you know what, what does it say I should take 2 tablespoons? I'll do 4 because I just got to get some sleep. And
right.
And things go haywire quickly. But again, no fog that I'm aware of anyway coming out of my pores or elsewhere. 651-989-ROCK is the talking text line. In the meantime, in Crosby, Minnesota, speaking of a green fog, more than 100 cats were removed from a home in Crosby this week. The Humane Society is hoping they can be adopted, find some permanent homes. 102 actually was the number taken from one home. Oh, my word.
That carpet is going to have to go. And why do I have a feeling this wasn't a large house? Now, Crosby, that's, I think, north of Brainerd. I think, so I have some friends up in that area, but, or no, Mille Lacs. Yeah, well, anyway, in that general area. Now that I'm thinking Crosby's just on the north side of Mille Lacs. But, so it might be a big old farmhouse. We don't know. Big houses up there. But 102 cats. And I think I read in the story that a lot of these were missing cats. Cats would go missing and hang up the poster.
One of the 102 had a chip, and it was definitely a cat somebody's been looking for. If you're going to tell me you have 102 cats, you better live at Versailles.
Yeah, right?
You better live at that place down in North Carolina, the Vanderbilt Mansion. I need acreage and tens of thousands of square feet before 100 cats will even remotely stand to reason in my mind. Where we were just staying down in Florida, there was a ton of just cats living in the wild. The little village, the town we're in, is a beautiful little place, but they got a cat situation going on. They're everywhere. Like, they don't come near people. They're terrified. Yeah. But there was probably a dozen cats, just walking through the yard at all times and, looking around like maybe there's something near the trash cans. And then Rosemary said she just saw a report on the cats of New York City these days. New York City has got a huge cat population that's grown over the last few years, and cats carry around a whole lot of the same germs and viruses that rats do.
Oh, nasty. So you got the cats and the rats and the...
Yeah, you think it's just Morris being finicky for some tender riddles, but no, he's got some rat-like tendencies going as well. Candace, do we have another caller?
Yeah. Chad from New Hope.
Chad, good morning.
Hello.
What do you got, brother?
Oh, man, so just to preface this real quick, so it was junior high. I just got my first pair of Jabots back in the day, which those are the jeans that were amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I was kind of a fat kid, so Ma decided to do laundry, and she dried them, so they were a little bit tight. So going to school after lunch, we had civics class, and sitting there, it's all quiet, watching a video, and I felt the rumble, man. I just couldn't hold back, so I let loose, and literally, because the jeans were so tight, it sounded like it said "mama." I mean, it was horrible.
The talking fart.
I swear to God, dude. And my buddy John, he fell on the floor, and Mr. Holt, he was just like super pissed, and it was another trip to the principal's office. But it was hella worth it, man.
That's a badge of honor. You made your fart speak. Your ass spoke a word. I mean, the first word that comes out of a lot of mouth. That's pretty impressive.
The worst part was there's no extra points. I mean, come on. I mean, that's a talent, bro.
That's incredible.
It's a high fiver there. Yeah, but you're a living legend. I mean, at least on the playground there for a while you were. It was, I suppose. You're just lucky you got it out with those. I'm sure your butt cheeks were clamped because of the tight pants, man.
Oh, dude, surprise and blowout didn't happen. I mean, it would have been like shreds everywhere.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for sharing that story, brother. This all reminds me. I remember I saw a tweet recently, and I'm trying. I don't know who was responsible for it. It's just one that people pass around, I'm sure. And it said something like, "Oh, that time you tripped in class and fell." We all remember. In fact, we still have a text thread about it. It was something basically saying, you think nobody's thinking about you, but the stuff you do in high school, no, we're still talking about it. Make no mistake about it. We never forget those things. That talking fart, I guarantee you, no more than 1 month has passed when somebody doesn't mention that bad boy.
Oh, yeah.
That's just
absolutely.
How that goes.
The mama.
That reminded me. I was convinced when Connell was just a few months old. This is still early baby days with the baby monitor. Rosemary and I, we would put him down for a nap, and then we would take our nap. It's like we had this thought of, well, when he takes a nap, then we'll get stuff done. And then you learn, no, you don't. You just go to sleep when he does. And there was so we were having that afternoon siesta. The two of we're laying in our bed, on top of the bed, fully clothed, hadn't even taken the shoes off. It's just like, oh my God, I got to lay down right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm sound asleep. And as I'm waking up, I hear through the baby monitor that rustling. Here's a happy little baby, just woke up from his nap, and he's making noises the way babies do, like they're getting used to their own voice. He's like, ah, ah, ah. And then I heard him say very clearly his first word, which was homeowner. And I sat up and I go, did you hear that? She goes, what? I go, he just said homeowner. And Rosemary looked at me. She goes, he's 3 months old.
You're dreaming. Go back to sleep, Steve.
I would have bet the farm right then that baby said homeowner. That was,
what is that? 4 syllables?
Yeah, 3. And I thought 3. Weird first word for sure. Not sure what he's.
Yeah, that is 3. So yeah, it sounds like a lot. Yeah, it is a weird one, and yeah, I think it's like when you look up at a cloud and you see a dragon. It's not really a dragon. It's just a cloud that looks like he made a noise. But, I mean, it put together a few 3 syllables of noises that...
Look, all I'm saying is if dude's fart can say mama, then my baby boy can say homeowner. Okay?
Homeowner, yeah. Homeowner was that. Homeowner, I'll have my bottle now.
That was a pretty good one. If you're just joining us, right now, if you are going to find yourself down in town, if you, like a lot of people, like to do something I do on a regular basis, which is traipse, take a nice stroll over the Stone Arch Bridge. The St. Anthony Main side is closed as of this morning for repairs. They're gonna reopen it in the winter for a brief period of time when they can no longer do the work. But for the rest of the year, for the rest of the good walking weather, you have to approach it from the downtown side, and you can only go halfway across, and then you'll have to turn around. And that's a bummer for me because I walk on that bridge a lot. And Tubby, a listener of the show for many years, I run into this guy on the bridge on more than a few occasions.
Yeah.
And so for a lot of people that are just in that neighborhood, the runners and walkers of that area will be facing a new challenge. There's other bridges. You're going to have to find out which one you prefer. But I live really close to the bridge, and I said this earlier, and I'm going to repeat it. I walked over that bridge in 1995. I had a day off on tour. I was in Minneapolis. I was at a hotel downtown, and not only did I went to Loring Park and played pickup basketball, not for the first time, but for the last time, because I got into a bit of a skirmish. I was 30. It was the summer I turned 30. And it was like a college-age kid, but he was bigger than me, and he got right in my face. And, basketball trash talk sometimes leads to, chest pumping and, I'll show you.
Oh, yeah.
And it was the first time in my life I ever backed down because I looked this kid in the eye and recognized, oh, no, he actually wants to choke me out. And I don't think I'll be able to stop him. And I just turned and walked away and walked. It was the saddest walk to my hotel because I thought, I'm old. I'm officially old. I'm the old man that younger people feast on in pickup basketball now. And, of course, compared to me today as I tell this story, that 30-year-old me was still just a spring chicken. I was
a lion. You were a freaking lion.
I did. I still had a lot of basketball left in me. But at that moment, I felt like it was over. And I walked back the Charlie Brown sad walk, and I couldn't even go back to my room. I was like,
little rain cloud just over Steve.
Yeah, it was just a beautiful summer day, though. And I found myself, of all places, at the Stone Arch Bridge. And I was like, well, that's a cool-looking bridge, and there's people walking on it. And I went all the way across and went over to Main Street, and I was like, what a cool-looking neighborhood this is. And and then I walked back across the bridge. But so Minneapolis, to me, that bridge was a big part of it. It's such a striking bridge, and it was just cool to have that as a pedestrian feature. Great look at the skyline, the whole thing. And then now that I live here the last 16 months, and I've been on that bridge countless times, it's a drag. I'm going to miss it. I'm like, man, let's get those repairs done.
Too. That's when they got to do it, right? You can't do that out there in the winter. It's not safe. Nobody wants to be working out there on that thing all winter long. But are they supposed to make any changes to it? They just kind of, because it's it's rather iconic. It's a landmark in downtown Minneapolis. They'll keep it as is. They just got to slap a little spit on it and keep it held together so you don't plunge into the river.
That's exactly right.
A lot of things go on in that. How are people going to get back and forth? Ferry? You should start a ferry down on the bank.
Well, they opened up that 3rd Avenue Bridge or the Central Avenue Bridge.
Right.
So, that got right in the way of my ferry plan. I wasn't going to do a ferry. I was just going to do one of those, the boats that you just hold a rope. You string up a rope across the river and you pull it,
Yeah.
Total Civil War action I was looking for. By the way, that Stone Arch Bridge, as long as we're talking about it, it was a train bridge, of course, initially. It was the second bridge built across the Mississippi River to carry trains back in the 1880s. And the last passenger train that crossed the Stone Arch Bridge was 1978.
Oh, really? That late?
Yeah. Isn't that shocking? Like, whoa. Really? Passenger train in 78 going over that bad boy. And then it was abandoned, and it wasn't until, I believe, 1993 or 4 that they opened it as a pedestrian bridge. But, man, it's just one of the things. I'm amazed at how often, if you look at travel websites, if you see you get an email from an airline, hey, you're planning to go to Minneapolis. It's one of the pictures you see quite regularly.
Well, this will give you a chance to get out and explore something. Get out of your comfort zone a little bit. Go out and explore some other part of the city. Maybe take a long walk down Broadway sometime.
Maybe.
Late at night.
Maybe. I think what I'll do is just sit at home and complain for a year and a half.
That's the American way.
Damn it. I like that bridge. I want it back.
Trying to think of some other areas. Well, get out, head down there along the lake or West Lake. Boy, I used to bike it all the time. It's been a while now. I'm just blanking. But yeah, there's lots of good. Get over there on that other side over there on the North Loop. What is that? West River Parkway, East River Parkway.
We're still exploring. We're still getting out and seeing stuff all the time, and it's still new, but it doesn't feel brand new, which is a really nice. This is a good zone for us. 15, 16 months in. I don't need the GPS to get to most of the places I want to go. But still a lot to discover. Still very excited about this Minnesota adventure that we've embarked on. Let's look back. On this day, April 15th, 1952, the Detroit Red Wings playing the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round of the playoffs. And 2 Detroit fans, brothers Pete and Jerry Cusimano, had a conversation at their family's fish store. They were like, hey, we need 8 wins to get a championship. And then one of them said, well, there's 8 legs on an octopus. And these 2 guys suddenly stumbled upon the dumbest, greatest idea ever. They smuggled an octopus into the arena. And when the Red Wings scored a goal, they threw it onto the ice.
I had no idea what the origin of that was. Yep. And you hear urban myths from time to time, but now I know. Freaking stupid and brilliant all at the same time.
8 legs, 8 games. That's what it takes to win. Gordie Howe scored, and suddenly an octopus was on the ice. Nobody had any idea. I mean, the first time, literally, an arena full of people going, what the hell is that? Nobody knew what it meant, but they went on to win that game. They swept the series. Then they swept the Canadians to win the Stanley Cup Finals. They were the first team to go 8-0 in the postseason, and one of the most bizarre rituals ever was established. Red Wings fans to this day smuggle octopi into the games. It is a truly bizarre and awesome feature of playoff hockey. On this day in 1985, I just got to say 2 words, and every sports fan goes, oh, my God. Hagler Hearns.
Oh, the greatest. I mean, like, you can have the Rumble in the Jungle. Yep. I'll take this middleweight fight. The greatest professional boxing match of all time.
The first round is exhilarating. It's almost hard to watch to this day because you have these 2 guys, neither of whom is named Sugar Ray Leonard, both of whom hate Sugar Ray Leonard, and they came out to show the world, no, this is what real middleweight boxing is. And man, they just teed off on each other, and it was 2:01 of round 3 where Hagler got the technical knockout. If you look at it, I mean, he's bleeding like crazy.
Yeah,
he looked ready to go down. Either one of them had landed one solid, uppercut in that 3rd round, the other guy would have gone down. It was still one of the greatest fights in under 3 rounds, you can ever see.